on everybody. Newstoter. What's up, Professor? What's up, Carlos? What's up, Tony? I see you.
What's up? What's
Yeah,
up?
what's up there, WPI? What's up?
Over here chilling, over here chilling. What's going on tonight? How everybody feeling?
Oh, we chilling. Like I say, this should be a pretty lively conversation. I would anticipate tonight. I definitely expect to hear some sisters up here. Definitely, we'll be talking about the topic of the perming and stuff because they're the experts on it. They could tell us about it. Of course, if you like Snoop and them and some of the other brothers that got they hair permed out at times, and James Brown and hell, what Prince, Michael Jackson.
Hey, I'll never forget. I asked my mother, "Yeah, I want to get a Jerry curl and shit." She looked at me like, "Boy, if you don't get out of here, yeah."
Hey, fellas, I did it. I went and got that Jerry curl because I asked my mom for it, and of course, my mom, she got one, and everybody was running to their hairdresser, getting those Jerry curls, and one of the biggest reasons, Michael Jackson. I know that was one of the things that inspired me was seeing brother Michael Jackson, wearing that long curl, and you kind of. At the time, I actually kind of looked like him. I went ahead and got that what was that jacket that he used to wear? It was like two different kinds. You could buy the black one,
The Thriller jacket. Let's go.
yeah. They had the black one and the red one, man.
Wait. Hold on. Or was it the bad jacket? He had multiple jackets, man. Might have some jackets, man.
No. He had two versions in the Thriller video because he had that one solid red one that had kind of the red stripes on the arms, and then he had those other ones that kind of like they had little bees on them. The black one and the red one, they had bees on them, and those jackets were bad back in the day. Everybody wanted to be like Michael Jackson, because he was just universally appealing all around the world. You look at the videos of what was it like Japan? Like people in Japan were trying to be like Michael. Everybody trying to be like Mike. Yes. But that Jerry curl, man, I tell you, used to have my clothes all oily and wet in the back of it. And in the wintertime, man, it'd be hard to wear them Jerry curls. I'm telling you now, all that juice dripping down your back and stuff.
So you had the Jerry curl, you had the S curl, like they had all kind of different versions of it back in the day, boy. You right, like it was crazy. Who else used to trip me out was when you used to see Ice Cube and Easy E with the Jerry curl. And not only these boys had Jerry curls, but these boys would bust a cap too. They had a hat on as well too. Like MC8, these boys, like all these boys had the curls and whatnot, and they had the little hats to go along with it too. So yeah, it was crazy back in the day.
Man, black people everywhere were getting them old Jerry curls. And I think most black people wore those Jerry curls until I think really about the early 90s. Because I think about 92, 93, a lot of black people were saying, hell with the Jerry curls.
Real talk.
They started getting rid of them.
Yeah, man. Like I say, I definitely anticipate having a good conversation tonight. We got to talk. We got to touch up on this what's his name? Bernie Morano. We got to touch up on him. This cat. He's running for the Senate up there in Ohio, and he's talking real reckless, real stupid. Is always trying to drum up support with the actual MAGA base up there as well too. So we got to talk about this dude tonight. Got to talk about the perm. Got to talk about the colorism thing as well too. So this is going to be an interesting conversation tonight. Like I said, we're gonna wait a little bit till some of our people start flowing in. We're gonna kick it around, but I definitely definitely look forward to the conversation. As always, the space is always hold some nice conversations for us to go ahead and dialogue and connect. So, looking for another good space tonight as well too. So definitely, well, we definitely.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna say we definitely got to have our sisters chiming in on this thing tonight about the colorism and the actual perming as well. Of course, they're gonna chime in on the reparations, but they're definitely on. Like I say, they're definitely gonna be the expert on the perming and the colorism. That's another thing. colorism affect everybody. You normally hear black women speak about it, but people forget that colorism also affect black men as well too. You just don't hear black men talk about it like that, about being dark skinned and being discriminated against or this or that or whatever. But colorism is not it's not just something that black women have dealt with. It's something that black men have dealt with too. Black men have been able to navigate and go through it and stuff like that. And on TV, you've seen a lot, especially back in the day when they first started putting black people on TV. You saw more darker skinned black men on TV as compared to darker skinned black women. The black women you saw on TV, most of them was either light skinned, high yellow, or mulatto. They would stick a dark skinned black man on there as well too. Of course, they like light skinned men, but they would stick dark skinned men on there as well too. So the issue of complexion and colorism, that's not something that's just specifically for black women. That's not something specifically that only black women have encountered during their time here. It's something that all of us have encountered. Normally, dark-skinned black men are considered more menacing and more of a threat, more of a thug than, say, a lighter-skinned black person is a lot of times. And sometimes colorism can work both ways as well, too, because somebody may see a light-skinned person, a black man, and think that person is naturally soft or weaker compared to his darker counterpart as well, too. So it works both ways, but definitely the darker skinned folks have definitely felt more of the brunt of it without a shadow of a doubt. And a lot of this happened during slavery time. If we're just going to be real about it. And it's not something that's only in the black community. It's worldwide. No matter what ethnic group or race, the lighter skinned people seem to be treated worldwide, globally, better than their darker counterparts. If you look at over there in India and you look at parts of Asia as well too, we know you have some Indians that's darker than black people, and then you have those that are lighter skinned that seem to be higher up on the food chain as well too. But Professor, go ahead. I know you was going to say something.
Yeah, I was thinking about this movie. I'm trying to remember. It was a Spike Lee movie, and I think it had some emphasis on colorism.
You talking about School Days?
Yes, that was.
Oh, yeah, School Days was a classic. School Days was a classic.
Yes, and I don't think that was, of course, the main focus of that movie, but it did have some.
That was a main focus. That and
that the main focus?
Yeah, that and apartheid was basically because they was at supposedly a predominantly black university, HBCU, and that was the main part. You had the fraternities versus the actual outsiders. You had Jasmine Guy and you had Tisha Campbell that was on the lighter skin side, and you had Spike Lee's sister and some of the other girls that was on the darker side. So of course you had Fishburne and you had John Carlo, what's the name? John Carlo Esposito. They were like kind of beefing with each other or whatever. But yeah, it was mainly about especially with the women, because Fishburne and John Carlo were going back and forth. He would call him like a monkey, and he called the other one a wannabe and stuff like that. So yeah, that was pretty much the dynamic of School Days. You also had Fishburne's character on there that wanted the university to divest because they were because of apartheid at the time. I can't remember exactly how they had some kind of partnership with South Africa or something, but they were talking about basically divesting from it or whatever. So that was a central theme. And even on the set, Spike Lee, just to get the tensions up flaring, he had the actual dark-skinned people and the light-skinned people live separate. He had the actual light-skinned people in better conditions and stuff, living quarters and stuff like that. So he actually helped to foster the actual animosity on the set just for the movie purposes as well too. So yeah, School Days was definitely underrated movie, great movie. Definitely something worth watching, and for those who haven't, I know most of us have seen it, but yeah, School Days was really back in the day. It was something like whoa.
Yeah, shout out to FBA Empress. She be doing the movie reviews on Sundays about 3:00 doing our Black American classic movies. I guess I gotta bring that to attention through that School Days space.
Yeah, real talk. Let me give a shout out real quick. I see a couple of our sisters coming here. Minister Ali, shout out to you. Shout out to Queen B. Shout out to Rerod. Shout out to Tech. I see you up in here as well too. Crypto, what's up? Michael, what's up? And we just letting a few people slide up in here before we get into the meat and the potatoes of the actual Twitter space, but I'm not going to hold up much longer. We're just going ahead making short talk. And like I say, sisters, we definitely want to hear what y'all got to say too about the perming, because I got the perfect article off Newstoter that maybe about a week or so ago, I went ahead and I tweeted out and I said, well, I meant to, because so much content and stuff that's out there. I'm like, I definitely got to put this topic up in the space as well too about perming girls' hair, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually lead off with that. You go ahead and lead off, and that's up in the jumbotron. It says, "Is perming your daughter's hair abusive?" This is from Defender Network, curated on the Newstoter.com platform. It says, "When I was 7 years old, I developed a desire to relax my hair. I remember vividly watching as my 8 and 6-year-old cousins took turns sitting between their mother's legs as she carefully coated their heads with thick, creamy substance. Curious, I asked what the stinky white stuff was that they're putting in their hair. In her heavy country accent, their mother replied, 'This a perm, girl. Can't manage these nappy heads without it.' My interest piqued. I had never heard of a perm, had never seen it applied, nor did I know what to expect. My eyes widened with wonder as I continued to observe them get lathered down with the stinky white stuff that they told me burned, but sat motionless like they were used to the feeling. After they were done getting their scalps scorched, my cousins danced to the kitchen sink, antsy to wash their the heat off their heads. And after their crowns yanked and pulled with a fine-tooth comb while fire from the blow-dry waved out their strands, they both emerged with long flowing tresses. I was amazed. I had never paid much attention to the fact that their hair was always different from my thick waves and curls, but that day I got to see firsthand why their hair was not like mine. When I went home, I told my mom that I wanted to get my head permed like Tammy and Amber. Her immediate reaction was, hell no, you ain't putting no damn perm in your head with all those chemicals. You too young. And of course, as any 7-year-old who's desperate to have their way, I replied, well, Tanya let Tammy and Amber get perms. Why can't I have one? My mom looked at me with conviction in her voice. She barked, I don't give a damn what Tanya does with her kids. I said, you're not getting a perm. In the conversation. I was disappointed naturally, but I never gave up my quest to get that long flowing hair. And 2 weeks before my 13th birthday, I finally convinced my mom that I was old enough to get my first relaxer. Now at 24, with a head full of natural waves, curls, and coils, reminiscent of my pre-perm years, I understand why my mom wouldn't allow me to get my naps relaxed when I first made my request at 7. If you've ever gotten your strands straightened the chemical way, you know it burns like hell. And if you leave it in a second too long, it will leave your scalp scarred and raw to the point where it stings even if the wind blows the wrong way. Lord knows what long-term effects relaxers have on our brains and chemical makeup. And let's not talk about the pungent smell could do to one's respiratory system or how damaging it could be to the sight if there's an accidental split or splatter. Relaxers are bad enough for adults, so for those parents who make the decision for their children to relax their hair, isn't it a bit on the extreme side to expose your young ones to such harmful chemicals, especially at tender ages below the teenage line? There's a little girl somewhere in the world right now screaming the misery from the burning sensation of a perm her mother self-imposed on her tender scalp. It is torturous to force a child to endure this kind of pain, even in cases where the child is unbothered by the chemical warfare on his or her head. Being open to such harsh fumes is an offense in itself. Now, I know firsthand how difficult it can be to handle thick, coarse hair. The number one excuse I hear from mothers who adamantly slather their daughters' and sons' head with the creamy crack is that it makes their hair more manageable. It's a lot easier and more convenient to deal with this kinky hair when it's perm, they say. It saves me time and aggravation when I don't have to spend hours combing out that thick head of hers. But let's face it, it's more straight. Let's face it, it's a lot more straightened than children's hair for the sake of beauty, or at least they've been conditioned to believe it is visually appealing. So let's take some time to really examine this practice. Not only are your components of your everyday relaxer potentially damaging to your child's physical health, but what are we really teaching our sons and daughters by risking their well-being, putting them through physical pain and stripping away what God has naturally given them for manageability and more often aesthetic appeal? In essence, we are saying your natural hair is not good enough, it's not attractive, it is not acceptable, and it is not likable unless it is straightened. Most people may not think of these things when whipping out those jars of poison to tame their baby's head, but when you put a young child through an agonizing process for superficial reasons, you have to consider is it really necessary? Is it good for my child's health? Any parent in their right mind wouldn't allow their child to smoke a cigarette or drink a 40 at 5, yet those same parents would turn around and torment their baby's scalp with chemicals that burn like acid. Should we allow our children to make those those decisions for themselves when we feel like they're old enough to use their own discretion. But unfortunately, patting down our babies with relaxers has become a sad Black tradition, and I personally view it as a form of child abuse. Do you agree that perming your child's hair at an age should be considered a form of child abuse? Or do you believe that this is an issue too light to be taken seriously? Shout out to some more of our people that's coming up in the space too. Diane, Sassy, Goddess. I see you guys coming up in here as well too. Like I say, only the ladies. And now we know you do have some young. They are putting even perms in some of these kids, these boys' head. But normally, let's be for real, 99% of the people we see with perms are actually women, actually little girls. I can remember, growing up, like that story said, I can actually remember seeing like family members and stuff getting that perm, and the how you can remember that smell and everything like that too. Sisters and cousins and aunts or whoever, you can actually, while you're in the house, you can smell that damn thing. Even if they're in the bathroom, you can smell it. So that lets you know how potent and how strong and the actual chemicals that used to be in there. And I've heard people, and I don't know how scientific this is, but I've heard people even try to link the actual perms to the actual hysterectomies that some of these sisters are getting and stuff like that. I would have to see more scientific data, but at the same time, it wouldn't be totally shocking, to be honest. So it is something that and if you're putting this in 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old girls' heads, we saw just on Malcolm X. We saw when Denzel was playing Malcolm X, when Spike Lee's character was putting the actual straightening his head, and he had to get up, and unfortunately for him, it was no water in the house, so he had to go ahead and stick his head. That lets you know how desperate he was. He had to stick his head in the actual toilet to get some satisfaction because his head was on fire. So that's just something. That's just food for thought. Like I said, I definitely want to touch up on this. I don't know if people would consider that child abuse, or what do they consider it? Is it simply for the fact that these mothers don't have time to actually do their child's head, or is it a bigger issue as what the author was saying in the actual article? Is it simply for the fact that, hey, you don't consider your natural hair pretty enough, beautiful enough? You prefer to have straightened hair? Is that really the true reason that a lot of these mothers actually put these perms in these girls' head? Is it simply for the fact that they don't believe that their natural hair is appealing enough because we've been around white folks for so long and we have the European sense of beauty that we believe that what's actually naturally ours is not good enough? Now, we see at the same time, people take the natural beauty of Black women every day and they make a killing from it. The way she's shaped, they're taking her hairstyles and everything else and, braiding it up and twisting it up and everything else. And now you see some white boys walking around here with goddamn dreadlocks. So the hair that you guys, that some of you guys think may not be beautiful to you, other cultures think it is beautiful, So we understand at one time that they were really discriminating against a lot of Black women in terms of having their natural hair when they were trying to go and enter the workforce at high numbers. So we understand that. We understand that society had ways of sticking it to Black women as well too. The natural hair wasn't good enough, and they forced you basically to go ahead and change it. And we also see the Crown Act, how things have changed to that point to, you're trying to put legislation in place where you're no longer having to actually go through these barbaric practices of trying to appeal to mainstream America, that you can wear your natural hair and still be beautiful in your own naturalness. So that's just what we're touching up on right now as well. So we're going to definitely kick it around the room. But we also, we're going to be talking about reparations, and are they for white people? We got a man running for Republican Senate up there in Ohio. He seems to think that the ancestors of those that were white that fought in the Civil War, but hey, they're entitled to reparations. And we're also going to touch upon colorism tonight as well too. So we're going to be kicking it in tonight, y'all, just to let y'all know this is a Newstoter Twitter space, and y'all know how we do. So we're going to open up the mic, let our people touch the mic that want to touch, conversate. I'm glad to see some hands going up right now. I see Queen B is up here and Professor. Let's go ahead and let Miss Queen B. I see Volvo's up here as well too. Shout out to Volvo. Queen B, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter. I'm doing good. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Okay, so I came in when you were already reading the article, and so the first thing I want to do before I get going is just to ask you, the author of this article that you were reading, this is a Black female, correct?
I would definitely assume so.
Oh, so we don't know.
No, because it's from the Defender Network, which is a black website based out of Texas. So this sister, she's giving her actual she's giving her actual experience herself when she got the perm, and unless she's a black woman now, is she a black American woman? I would still tend to think that she is, but yeah, this is most definitely a black woman that just gave her testimony, because she talked about when she got it as well too, and her cousins and her mom. Her mom told her hell no when it was time. So yeah, she's got the black cat she's talking about. But yeah, you got it.
Okay, so I guess just in answering the question about it being a form of child abuse, I think that was a question that she posed or something. And then maybe there was another question in there about, is this us just not liking our hair, natural, and wanting to mimic or imitate, maybe the way white women's hair is straight or whatever. Were those some of the questions that were posed in that as well?
Well, she really the only question she brought up really was, she's saying, is this a form of child abuse? That's the actual title of the actual article, is perming your daughter's hair abusive? So that's pretty much, she raised other points in there saying, well, the reason we're really doing this too, because we're not beautiful enough, or this or that, how we look at ourselves. But she was basically talking about the actual chemicals and everything, and the burning, and what could potentially be in there. Is that child abuse?
Okay, so what I would like to just, I guess, my contribution to this part of the conversation is, I'm a little bit older than probably most of you, so I used to wear an afro. I mean, my mother had me in a fro at a very young age, and then I remember my mother one day calling me into the house and saying, well, because she started using a hot comb, which to me smells just bad as having a relaxer. Anyway, so she was using a hot comb on my hair. And then for about a year, then I remember her saying, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go ahead and get a relaxer put on your hair. And so I got my first relaxer probably around age 10 or something like that. I don't remember it burning really bad. I remember it burning, but not really, really bad. And then they started having the no lie relaxers, which were supposed to be much better. Now, I do remember in that Malcolm X movie when he got his relaxer, and I do know that in the earlier years that they were putting straight lye or something on their hair, which I know now, from what I know, I mean, it's been a while since I've had a relaxer, that it had supposed to have been getting better. But I know that they had been linking it to other issues, and especially for women who actually work in the industry, who were around those chemicals all day, and ingesting those chemicals. And I think they have started to associate some problems now with people who are in the industry being exposed to those chemicals all the time. But I'm not really aware of hysterectomies or anything like that. So I'm interested in hearing if anybody else might know about that. But I would say, at least for myself, my mother, presented it like more of a convenience. But I believe she took me out of the fro because people just weren't wearing them anymore. So it was just more of going along with the trends. And for me, I kind of felt like the fro, I felt like I was kind of young for the fro when my mother had me in the fro. And I went to a predominantly white school coming up, so that wasn't real fun for me, some of the comments and things like that I would get. And that might have had something to do with my mother deciding to, straighten it with the hot comb, but she had always said to me that it was more about, what was more manageable for her, until I was able to start doing my own hair. So, but if ladies today, I mean, you know what, I really don't think that there's as many people getting their hair relaxed now. I know, like, the last time that I got my hair touched up and I was wearing a relaxer, that's probably been 12, 13 years ago, that the person that was doing my hair said that he wasn't even doing them anymore because people weren't requesting them because they were going natural. So I think there was, or I think we were starting to see a trend of, you know, that even changing in the beauty industry, or, you know, people who are beauticians and whatnot, that it's just, they're not even really making any money on that because you don't really have people that are wearing those relaxers anymore. So, and it is much more acceptable, you know, for even the young people to go back into their natural, going back to the natural, you know, hair. And there's so many different ways to wear hair now, you know, without putting all of those chemicals and things on it. So, yeah, I had Jerry curl too, so that was just bad. But anyway, that's all I have to say for now. And thank you so much for allowing me to speak. And I look forward to hearing what some of the other people have to say.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Queen B. Let me go ahead real quick to Volvo and then Professor. Then we're going to touch up on some of the other articles as well, so we can just go ahead and get that flowing as well, too. So what's up, Volvo?
What's on, my brother? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh yeah, all right. I got a new headset. I just wanted to touch on. I didn't hear the whole article about the permanent hair thing, but I feel as though that permanent our hair that's been a part of our culture for like 100 years. You know what I mean? Now it's just becoming played out. Like Sis said, I had a jerry curl. I remember they used to make fun of my father. They used to make fun of me because my father was one of the only niggas left that had a jerry curl in '93. He was played out. He still was wearing the jerry curl in '93. You know what I mean? I remember they put the S curl in my hair, and I remember they were scared to give me the, I guess the powerful version, so they gave me the weak version, but it ain't give me the curl I wanted. So I remember being in the first grade, running to the bathroom and wetting it so it can look the way I wanted it to look. You know, I remember, you know, my mother putting a perm in my sister's hair. You know what I mean? And she was going bald on the sides, and I remember a product called Baby Don't Be Bald. It's some, I don't know if that was the perm or that was to make her hair grow. I just remember seeing that. You know what I mean? I remember my mother putting a perm in her hair. You know what I mean? I remember Easter Sunday, my mother would hot comb everybody's hair. Everybody, my father, my sister, me, everybody would be going to church Easter Sunday with some half new clothes, half Goodwill clothes, smelling like good cologne and burnt hair. I remember that. So we've always been straightening our hair. I believe that, you know, that we had to do that. You know what I mean? That was a survival thing to where Black women had to straighten their hair to get jobs to help support the family. You know what I mean? You know, you had to, you know, we live under the system of white supremacy. As a Black American, we never not lived under a system of white supremacy. There's never been, we not like these other people that had their own countries and had their sovereignty. We've always lived under white people. So we always had to conform to what they seen as, you know, as what was right. You know what I mean? If I'm saying that right, to what they liked. You know what I mean? But we've been breaking down those barriers. You know, let me say this, right? We the only group of people in the world that, you know, that got to get a law passed for us to wear our hair the way that we want. I say this I point little stuff like this out all the time, and people don't really be getting it. Why is it such a thing about the way that we wear our hair? We are special people. To where the system saying that you can't wear your hair like that. Kids done been expelled from school. People done lost jobs. I seen a video where a high school kid was in a wrestling competition. The judge said, I'm going to disqualify you if you come on the mat with your hair like that in dreads. And they had to cut his hair on the sideline for him to compete in this competition that he been training for his whole life. You know what I mean? Why is it laws put in place for us to wear our hair the way that we want to wear our hair? You know what I mean? Now you fast forward now, these people trying to wear their hair like us. I say this all the time. It's a rapper called French Montana. He an Arab, a real Arab, not from America at all. Born over there, his whole lineage is over there. It's in the Middle East. He running around here with braids. Straight, he got straight hair like a white man. She's running around here with braids now. If we wear our hair a certain way, they tell us that it's ghetto or it's unprofessional. If they wear their hair the same, if they wear braids or dreads, they seen as doing something edgy or hip or cool. These people weird about us. You know what I mean? So I feel as though that I ain't gonna hog the mic up, but I feel as though that you know, that's something that we had to do, and then it kind of spiraled out of control. You know what I mean? It kind of spiraled out of control. I mean, because what does that do to a person's psyche to where you can't wear your hair the way you want to wear your hair? You know what I mean? Like, what does that do? So now it started as the perm and the straightener and the relaxer. Then you put some dye in. Then you put on a wig. Then you put on a weave. Then it turned into a pink wig. Then it turned into a red wig. It spiraled out of control. I'm gonna close with this. Black people. I done had every type of hairstyle: braids, dreads, fades, waves, whatever you. I done had a bald head. I got the bald head. I done had a bald head before. We got the best hair on the planet. These people are envious of our hair. They want their hair like ours. They jealous that they can't play with their hair the way that we do it. And they can't do the shit that we can do with our hair. You know what I mean? They really is envious of that. You know what I mean? I land my plane there, brother. I appreciate you letting me speak.
All right. Quick shout out to DJ. DJ, thanks for the contribution on Cash App. Always appreciate it when the co-host chips in as well, too. Let me go ahead and get the professor. Then we're going to go ahead and touch up, too. Like I said, I want to touch up on those other two articles as well, too. Shout out, Ray. I see you up in the space as well, too, Ray. At the listener, I see you over there. Black Pressure, what's going on? Original, I see you down there as well, too. Go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Newstoter. Great topics again. One of the things that I'd like to touch on with this whole issue with the perm is the health concerns, health issue that comes along with it. And one of the things that we need to take a look at as a community, particularly for Black women, because Black women are our queens, or Black men, this does relate to us, because we should also make sure we do what we can to protect our queens, right? There's been a 25-year study that has been done in reference to the effects of perms, particularly as it pertains to the effects on women. And it seems to be that it increases the potential of breast cancer with Black women. Because, let's be honest, Black women do tend to use a lot of the, as Queen B spoke about earlier, the relaxers, and the perms, and all of that. So this is something that we need to address in our community with our daughters, aunts, grandmothers, mothers, all the beautiful sisters that we see around us daily. That should be our concern as Black men, to make sure that the health and welfare of our women are addressed, as well as ours, because we need to be also concerned about our health as well as a community. So I'm gonna land my plane there. I just wanted to say that.
All right. So we got Phoenix. Wait. Hold on. Let me get the Phoenix real quick, Volvo. Let me get the Phoenix real quick. Go ahead, Phoenix. Unmute your mic.
Peace, prosperity, and reparations to the room. God bless everybody. Thank you, Professor. Thank you for addressing that. That, you know, and thank you, Toto, for bringing me up. It addresses the fact that we've been under chemical warfare, right? So once we just start really looking at this thing as a 500-year war, and you know, later on, 1,000 years from now, it'll be a biblical war. That's what has happened. So now we have, you know, perming in, you know, different regions. We got to get a perm. I'm from the West Coast. We get a lot of pressing, but we do also, you know, relax our hair, and it's also in hair color. So now you have the whole epidemic of thyroid tumors. I can say that most of my family in the Midwest, the women who, you know, did a lot of perming, had to all have hysterectomies at some point in their lives. So hair. So then you start to, put the chemicals in their scalp, and it starts to penetrate. It goes into the brain, goes into the endocrine glands, and goes into the endocrine glands and the endocrine system is our hormonal system, which creates more estrogen. And so now when you have the proliferation of extra estrogen in the body, that starts to create tumors. So, and you start to see it from chicken. You start to
Hey, you there, Phoenix?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting a call.
Okay.
It's just extra estrogen that's happening, and creating more hormones. So, we're going straight natural. And I'll say this, and I'm a hairstylist by trade. Not anymore. I'm not practicing anymore, but that's what I did earlier in my life out of high school. We're starting to lose our hair too. So from relaxing, from coloring, from the extra weave and all of this stuff, we're starting to lose our hair more. In addition to the chemicals we get in our food. So this has been a chemical warfare, biological, psychological, everything. Every aspect of work has been placed upon us. So I think we should just approach it that way, and no chemicals in the babies. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Phoenix. Volvo, go ahead, and then we're going to go ahead and touch up also. And this topic is open all night, guys, but I want to go ahead also and touch up on some of the other ones as well, just so you can understand or at least hear the actual content as well too. But go ahead, Volvo, you got it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to hop in. I just didn't want to lose my thought on the point that he made. But if you want to read the other articles, I'll just wait my turn.
You can go ahead if you want to, real quick.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on what Professor said, and now on something that Vinny said. He was saying that we got to address this in our community as Black men with our women. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I make it a point. Like, if I see a sister in a store or out with her natural hair, I make it a point to give her a compliment. I like your hair. You know what I mean? And that really do mean a lot. You know what I mean? These is women. Y'all do like compliments and shit like that. So I just make it a point. If she got her fro or she got her dreads or her low haircut or however she want to wear it, if it's natural, I go out my way because I understand the importance. I go out my way to compliment her. You know what I mean? Not to get too far in my personal business, I got how can I say this without? I got a family member that I convinced to go natural, and she was scared. She never dealt with her natural hair her whole life. And this is just some game that that we can give to our women as men. Like what I did is I kind of walked her into it. You know what I mean? I told her, like she was like, I'm scared. I gotta cut it off because I'm gonna be natural. I'm like, cut it off slow. You know what I mean? We from the same bloodline, so you see my hair. She always admired my hair. Like, oh, your hair's so strong. It's so it's always grow long and all that. I'm like, we from the same bloodline, so we got the same hair. So I convinced her to go natural. You know what I mean? I was just like, look on YouTube. It's natural hair tutorials all on YouTube. We in the new age now. We in the information age. So you figure out how to do it when it's this length, when it's that length. And she started to wear box braids and start cutting it off. And now her hair all the way down her back. And this natural. And she really stunting now. She's stunting. She got the big afro puff with the ponytail and all that shit. She's shitting on them for real. One last thing I want to touch on. Phoenix touched on the going bald stuff and all that. The reason why that's happening is because of anything that's unnatural to the body will attack it. When y'all putting these big weaves on, it's constantly a weave, sweating all on your hair, all that shit just constantly matting your hair down. You're gonna start losing hair because the body will kill parts of itself if it feel like it's under attack. The body don't understand that you got this weave on. It don't understand you doing that for looks. The body don't want that. So the body said, it's something attacking my hair. Well, let me lose my hair before I lose the rest of it, before I lose my brain or some shit like that. Let me kill this hair off. Because that's what the body is attacking. That's why when somebody get an organ transplant, they got to be on drugs for the rest of their life because the body is rejecting. The reason why women are losing their hair is because you are attacking your hair. Your body is under attack. And it's rejecting that weave. It's rejecting that perm. It's rejecting that black. I appreciate you letting me speak, brother.
No problem. Black Pressure, I see you up here. What's going on tonight?
Hey, what's up, News? I'm going to skip the intro because I'm in the gym. You know, I got to keep the ladies looking at me at my older age. But check this out. I'm going to keep it real short. Look, I think Professor...
You got 10 pounds on each side, 10 pounds on each side. Go ahead, get it.
Hey, man, you know what? Maybe in my 70s I might get there. Well, look, I think Professor and someone else brought it up about, I think it was Volvo, about having the conversations with our black women about this subject matter. This subject matter isn't new. And having conversations with black women about this isn't new. This goes, you can look at old footage from literally the 50s about this subject matter. And just a quick tidbit in history. I'm getting old. Madam C.J. Walker and Marcus Garvey had beef. He would not let her advertise her products in his magazine. And she wanted to know why. He told her she didn't promote black women's natural hair. She promoted perms and stuff like that, so he wouldn't let her promote. But I'm just going to tell you this from my personal experience. I'm going to end this gym and I'm going to jump back in. If you really sit down with a group of black women and have this conversation, it's going to be a fight. I've done it plenty of times. It's literally going to be a fight and you're not going to win that. But I'll land my plane and try to listen.
All right.
It depends on how you touch on the subject, Black Pressure. I understand where you're coming from, though, about it'll be a fight because some sisters are sensitive about the issue because they'll say, hey, I need to be able to find a way to take care of my hair because it takes so much energy to deal with it. I have had that talk with sisters, but it is a way as a man that you touch on the issue with them, such as you just kind of politely say, hey, sister, I think you look better with the natural way of things. But you do what makes you happy. So you have to say it like that because it is about what they feel and their happiness is where it's all at. But when you just say, hey, you need to stop doing that. You need to stop putting that in your hair. When you kind of say it in a demanding way, the sister might be like, you don't know what all I have to deal with this hair. See, you can't demand it. You got to kind of nice your way into it. There it is. I land my plane.
All right. Real quick, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and touch up on this article from Atlanta Black Star. It's talking about the actual Republican Senate candidate Bernie Moreno, who's talking about white Civil War veterans, soldiers should have been given reparations for basically freeing enslaved black people. So that's up in the Jumbotron. Like I say, feel free once I talk about this, if you guys want to go back and talk on the hair topic, because I know that's going to be an interesting conversation tonight as well too. So once I go ahead, any subjects you guys want to go back on, that's more than fine with me. It's titled, "They Make It Sound Like America is a Racist, Broken Country. Ohio politician wants to sentence of white Civil War soldiers who helped free enslaved blacks to get reparations. A Republican Senate candidate from Ohio wants reparations for the descendants of white Civil War soldiers. Bernie Moreno is challenging the incumbent Democrat Senator Sherrod Brown in the state's U.S. Senate election in 2024. Moreno recommends that reparations be paid to the descendants of Northern Civil War soldiers because they freed slaves while fighting against the South. The luxury auto dealer from Cleveland made the reparation remarks during his campaign launch in Milford on April 21st. Y'all, co-hosts, when y'all see somebody requesting to go up, go ahead and I see Ray's coming up. Go ahead and allow them to come up. We stand on the shoulders of people like John Adams, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, George Washington. He said, This group of people took on the largest empire in history. They said, no, we will not stand for this, and won. That same group of people later, white people, died to free black people. Moreno wanted to say that America isn't racist because it freed slaves. It's never happened in human history before, but it happened here in America. That's not talked about in schools very much, is it? They make it sound like America is racist, a broken country. Name another country that did that, that freed slaves, that died to do that. The Senate candidate also said that he understood he was being politically, he wasn't being politically correct in saying that white people died to save the lives of black people, and asked where their reparations are. You know, when they talk about reparations, where are the reparations for the people in the North who died to save the lives of black people, said Moreno. I know it's not politically correct to say that, but you know what? We got to stop being politically correct. We got to call it how it is. A spokesman for Moreno's campaign doubled down when asked about the controversial comments made by his boss and accused the media of crying crocodile tears. Bernie was right about when he said this about political correctness is killing our country, said Connor McGinnis, and the crocodile tears from the left exposed the Democrat hypocrisy he was referring to in the clip. Moreno failed to note that the white soldiers he spoke of were paid wages for their duties during war. He also failed to note that nearly 180,000 black soldiers who fought for the Union during the Civil War were paid less than their white counterparts by nearly 50%. Black soldiers were paid $10 per month during the Civil War with a $3 deduction for clothing. White soldiers paid $13 per month and were not charged the extra $3 for clothing. 77% of black Americans believe reparations should be paid to the descendants of slaves, according to the Pew Research Center, while just 18% of white Americans believe reparations should be paid. People react to Moreno's comments on social media, and one called out the Republican motto that the Civil War wasn't fought to keep slavery, but to keep the federal government from interfering in state laws. That's crazy because I've always heard that the Civil War wasn't fought over slavery at all. So these people didn't fight to save black people, noted one. Well, at least we don't have to wonder where he stands on social justice issues, added another. Just another right-wing bigot. One user wrote, any chance that Bernie Moreno would advocate for reparations for indigenous who had their land stolen by ancestors of the white people he claims are owed reparations? Sure, white people have always been neglected in America, concluded another. Bye, boy. Moreno's comments prompted a resurface of the clip of North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robertson speaking against reparations during the 2021 North Carolina Republican Party State Convention. Robertson said that it was black folks who owed reparations. Why do you owe? Because somebody in those fields took stripes for you. Somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you, he said. Somebody fought wars and died for you. Somebody lived less than you because they didn't have what you have, and they did it for you. Incidentally, Moreno came to America as a 5-year-old immigrant from Colombia and campaigned heavily on border security during the Senate primary campaign in 2022 before dropping out. President Trump put us on the path to prosperity, but today China's buying our land, drugs pour through our borders while our tax dollars flow to foreign countries and our job streams overseas, said Moreno in the campaign video. It takes new leaders who are willing to fight and save America first, values that we share. So, yeah, this guy tell me he ain't a piece of work right here. And the lieutenant governor that said that nonsense in 2021, he's a piece of garbage as well, too. So I guess they just two peas in the pod. And the fact, and now, like I say, now you got a bunch of white folks, and I knew it was eventually gonna happen anyways with the reparation thing. Like anything else in this country, even if you go back to the civil rights movement, it don't take long for them to shoehorn on something. The next phase of it, when reparations actually do get paid, and you'll start seeing all these white folks talking about their great-great-grandmom was a black woman and this and that, and their eighth Negro, and they should get it. They should get as much as the black people, and they've been discriminated against too, and I's a nigga and all this other nonsense as well too. So it doesn't take long for it to go ahead and get started. It does not take long for these people. Once they see something, they see, and they can feel the momentum. And that's why you had Dr. Phil on TV and stuff like that, because this is becoming a national issue, but it's not only becoming national. We've said it in spaces before. It's becoming global because of the actual noise that's been brought up in this country. You got people all around the world, people who it was never in their vocabulary to say anything about reparations. Now you got people over there in Poland talk about reparations. You got people in Africa talk about reparations. You got people all around the globe talking about reparations. So it didn't take long. Once black people, as always, once they get things kicked off, everybody starts to go ahead and start speaking on it. So this guy right here, he's up there in Ohio. He is pretty much Rust Belt trash, sitting up here running his mouth right here. So I'm not sure who was up first. I don't know if it was Ray or if it was Mr. Engaging. Which one came up first? I know Ray came. It might have been Ray because I know I told y'all to let Ray up. So I don't know if Ray had his hand up first or what.
I just want to tell DJ to check his DM real quick.
I got it. Yeah, I think it was Ray, man. And then it's Mr. Engaging.
Okay, what's up, Ray? I hope you loud and clear tonight because I know sometimes you be with the headphones you be a little muffled.
Yeah, man, I take the AirPods out real quick.
Oh yeah, okay. Now you sound good. Good. What's up, man?
What's up, man? So I ain't gonna lie to you. I was gonna be quiet. Well, I'm most just kind of just laid back, let everybody talk, man. But this one right here is a little bit triggering for me because it's just not true. So first of all, let's say it like this. So they didn't fight for us. That's just the truth. So let me see. I'm looking this up really quick. Give me a second. So they fought for us, right? So the Civil War ended, I believe, in April of like 1861 or so. We weren't freed from slavery until Juneteenth. So how did they fight for us? And Juneteenth was until 1865. So that was what a whole that had to be I think it was 1863 actually. So that means we had to wait an extra 2.5 something years or so, but they fought for us. Like, how does that make any sense? That just doesn't make any sense. And two more things I want to point out really, really quickly. Since we're talking about Tucker Carlson, a lot of people don't know this, but Tucker Carlson's great grandfather was a slave owner. A lot of people don't know that his name was what was it? Cornelius Ennis. He was his 3 times great grandfather. He was a slave owner. He shipped cotton, railroad exactly. He actually was the mayor of Houston at one point. And that's Tucker Carlson's grandfather. It's mythology. I wanted to say this too about, because they say how, the Union soldiers, they're the ones that fought to preserve the Union. They did not fight in slavery. You know who did fight for that? The American chattel slaves, because for people that know history, the Union was getting their ass kicked until we joined in, and they promised us our freedom, which is why, I think it was like 180,000 or so black people joined to fight because they were promised the freedom, but they ended up not getting it until Juneteenth. And lastly, a lot of people don't know this, but the last recipient that was receiving a Civil War pension died in 2020. I want you to think about that. 2020. Y'all can look this up. Her name was Irene Trippett. So all these years she had been getting checks until this old woman died in 2020. Y'all can look that up. Irene Trippett. I'll land there.
Not only that, Ray, but let me add this part right here too, because growing up we were always told that the North fought the South to stop slavery and this and that. The North and the South fought about slavery simply because the North did not want the South to expand into free territory and to go ahead and further slavery. It was all about politics. The North was scared about losing political power, and the South was trying to gain more political power. It had nothing to do about they consider slavery to be a moral issue in this country, or they cared about black people or this or that, whatever. It was for the simple fact it was about political gain. That's all it was about. It was like, hey, y'all as long as y'all keep slavery where you got it at the South, we cool. But when the South started saying, you know what, we're going to expand and we're going to move, we're going to start going into these new territories and everything else like that, that's when the issue arose right there. That's when it became a problem. Mr. Engaging, you got it. What's up tonight?
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. The first thing that comes to mind when it comes to the Union, the Devil Punch Bowl. Y'all can look that up. With that being said, I'm going to get to the topic. At hand. Is the reparation for white people. One thing I've been noticing is that these immigrants, I'm thumbing fingers and hands, thumbs, and everything. I'm putting my whole hand on this. If you keep the same game, because I watched that Don Lemon footage, too, just to review it. That was another immigrant fella, right? Newstoter, we can chat about this one. That was another immigrant fella running his mouth, right?
You talking about the Indian cat?
Yeah, you got the Indian cat, and now we got another red fella running his mouth, right?
I believe the Indian cat is I believe can anybody verify? But I believe
Indian American.
that was the Indian dude.
but was he born in America or was he born overseas?
It don't matter. His bloodline is what I'm getting at.
I think he immigrated here. He immigrated.
Yeah, what I'm getting at. His bloodline is at the beginning of America.
Well, the cat that the senator, the one running for Senate up there in Ohio, running his mouth. Yeah, he's an immigrant. He was 5 years old from Colombia when he came over here. Now he's popping noise talking about something that ain't got a goddamn thing to do with him.
Yeah, but I'm talking about both of them. I'm talking about both immigrants. And I'm calling them immigrants because they're not at the exception of America. So yeah, they're immigrants to me. You might not like my definition, but they like, were they ancestors at the beginning of this nonsense? No. They brought their happy ass over here when everything was popping. So they immigrated over here. So like that's what if you get it from the context I'm getting, you'll understand where I'm about to head to with this conversation. When you start looking at these immigrant individuals, how they interpret our history and how they use our history to undermine us, I find that this is a very, very problematic thing. And this is a recurring behavior thing. Like these guys shouldn't even be speaking on this because they don't have no bloodlines, no ties to this conversation or anything to this. So why is this coming out of their mouth? The only time they should be talking about it is in the classroom when they write in a damn paper and a college professor. That's the only time they should be really popping off about it, or they have some PhD in some history or something. But until then, I don't think they should be speaking on this history the way that they speaking on it, because I think it does us a disservice to us not protecting our legacy. So that's the reason why I'm trying to bring it up, and the reason why I framed it and called them both immigrants. You get where I'm coming at, Newstoter?
Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, they have no ties to this, man. No ties to this. These guys just came off on JetBlue 2 days ago. That's how I look at them. And now they're talking about our history and talking about a whole bunch of things that they shouldn't be talking about and saying what we do and do not deserve. Instead of us calling ICE on these guys. Like, we really need to get these guys out the paint. And I just want to leave it on that.
All right. Let me go ahead real quick and get to actually I see we got some more hands coming up. Let me go ahead and get to Tammy as well. Tammy, how you doing tonight? Tammy, you there?
Don't be shy now, Disruptor. Don't be shy.
I was about to say she usually not very shy. Go ahead, Disruptor.
She might be in the Matrix. Let's see real quick. I'll give her a second to see. Tammy, are you there?
She got that Mary J. Blige profile pic. I'm digging.
Hey, if you're interested, she's taking numbers, man. So you can go holler at that. But hey, Sister Wells, I'm trying to bring you up. You might have to drop down too and come back.
Well, but while Tammy's waiting, then I guess we'll go ahead real quick before we go get to Tammy. Also, guys, in the Jumbotron, where is that? The third or fourth one over? Let me see, man. I be forgetting myself. We're trying to go ahead and get some more subscribers to the YouTube channel as well. So, matter of fact, it's the I was gonna say, yeah, we got a lot of stuff up here. The fourth one over to the left-hand side. Don't add anything else to the Jumbotron because it's kind of getting a little bit too crowded already. The fourth one over to the left-hand side is the actual YouTube channel, guys. So if you can, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is the fourth one to the left. So if you go to the left on the fourth-hand side while you're listening to the actual Twitter space, you can go ahead and subscribe. We've been getting a decent number of our people to go ahead and subscribe to the actual YouTube channel as the space has been going on. So that's a tool that we're going to continue to use to try to go ahead and get more people over there subscribe to us. So please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, if you can, support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American-owned news media curation platform today in America. Once again, that is $Newstoter, $Newstoter. The largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. If you guys have $1, just even $1 that you can donate, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron as well, too. Tammy, are you there, sister? Tammy, are you there? We may have to drop Tammy down and bring her back.
Original
up there disrupt the original up there.
Since Tammy is
at the same time. No,
let me go ahead and then I'm gonna go to Volvo and then I'll go to you original. So Volvo, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I'm trying to go fast. I just wanted to touch on that immigrant dude that was talking about Don Lemon. I mean, that Don Lemon had to check. Finally, he stood up and checked him, and he checked him in a real way, because that was disrespectful that this immigrant would come up here trying to talk down to Don Lemon. I don't got nothing to do with what he do sexually or none of that shit. I don't care about none of that. I really don't care about none of that. That's really like when I hear motherfuckers say that, you know what I mean? It just turned my stomach. That shit is beneath me. I'm talking about his lineage, what him and his people been through in this country. You know what I mean? He finally stood up. He felt the disrespect and said, "Oh, whatever you is, like you don't even know what you is." Like he was look like he wanted to punch him. You know what I mean? He had to control himself and settle down, and then he shook his hand like, "All right, yeah, you know, like."
That's right.
Because, he went off script. Don Lemon like, what? You an immigrant, well, whatever you is. That guy, I got a video on my page where he trying to talk about throwing Mexicans out the country. This guy writing books talking about black people playing the victim. That guy is ridiculous. He is a complete sellout. A complete sellout. That guy is ridiculous. He one of those guys he willing to come out and say whatever white supremacy want him to say, and they can use his dark skin, and they can hide behind him and say, "Well, he's saying it. Yeah, I'm not racist. He's dark too. He faces racism too. He know exactly what he's doing. He's playing the game." I was proud of Don Lemon on that. That was something that no news anchor is supposed to say. Whatever race you is or whatever you is. That was not supposed to be said. The white folks can't even say that on Fox News. You ain't never seen no news anchor say to no guest on their show, whatever race you is. Like he felt offended, highly offended. And Don Lemon went off script and checked his ass. That guy is ridiculous. And he's a seller. He is the typical Asian. He gonna say whatever white supremacy want him to say. Period. And that's his bag. That's his thing. I just wanted to touch on that because I heard y'all speaking about that guy, but I land my plane, brother. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Let me go ahead and get to let me give a shout out to my man Wayne as well. Wayne, appreciate you. Thank you for the donation on Cash App. Like I said, y'all, Wayne come up in the space. Wayne ain't never spoken to Newstoter space. Man just pop his head in and comes in and donates, never speaks. I've never heard Wayne to this day speak before, but I just want to say shout out to you, brother. Like you come into the space, never say anything, donate, and just up and leave. And Wayne don't even stay for the whole spaces either. He come in, stick his head. He might stay in about 20 minutes or so, and then he's out. And before he goes out, he donates. So appreciation to you, Wayne. Thank you for the contributions that you always make. It is greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get to my brother Original, because I know Original want to go ahead. He's an OG in the game, and he definitely wants to drop a little bit of knowledge on this one right here. So I got to definitely hear what Original's got to say on this. So what's up, Original?
One second, Original. Hold on 1 second. Newstoter.
What?
We can't get Sister Wilson up for nothing.
I think she said she wasn't trying to come up. She said she wasn't trying to come up. Yeah, I saw in the comments.
Okay, I feel requesting. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, she said she must have hit it by mistake. So, but she probably will come up later on, I'm sure.
Okay.
What's up, Original?
Greetings, everybody. And I want everybody to go on YouTube, go to the Newstoter space on YouTube, and click the like button. Because see, the more likes Newstoter get on YouTube, the more the videos are circulated, and it increases his position on YouTube.
Algorithm.
Yeah, and go and subscribe too, because we hadn't had anybody subscribe yet. So subscribe there as well too. Like it and subscribe and share it out as well to everybody.
Yeah, well, you got to subscribe to like. So yeah, go in there, subscribe, and then like it. I think you do. I'm not sure, but anyways, yeah, subscribe. I think what people have to understand, see, we are the most unique people on this planet. And see, our hair is the only hair that grows up and out. Everybody else's hair, it grows down. And that spiral that's in our hair, it connects us with the universe. And so when people, and the reason that we've done this, because we were beat down to such a position that whereby a lot of us thought that we were ugly. A lot of us thought that we had bad hair. But now that other people are looking at the things that we can do with our hair, and I'll give you an example. When I was working at McDonnell Douglas in California, so this one guy, he made a comment one day about me having bad hair. I told him, I said, well, I'll get your ass tomorrow. And so what I did, I went home, I washed my hair, when I got out, put some grease on it, and put on a stocking cap. So y'all know what's magic when I got up the next morning. And so when I went into work, everybody was like, ooh, wow, your hair looks so good. Oh, you got a haircut. Oh, it looks so nice. It looks good. I'm like, yeah. And so, because I'm always, see, I was wondering about, I wouldn't just push back, I'd push you down and kick you. And so what happened is, before I came back from lunch, I went into the restroom and I picked out my hair and came back into the office. And everybody was looking at me like, what happened to your hair? I thought you had a haircut. And so I went to the guy who said this to me, and I said, this is what you can do when you have good hair. Now, I said, if you want to test out who has good hair and who doesn't, we can both go outside, take a cup of water, and we're going to pour it over each other's head, and whoever hair looked more like it did before the water hit it has good hair. And he had nothing to say. Because see, some people would let people do things like that to them, and they wouldn't say anything. But see, me, oh hell no, you're not getting with that. I'm gonna have to whoop your ass today. And so, but I mean, think of it that way, because even when I was a child, I would hear people talking about how they don't know what they're gonna do with their children's hair, and that it was this, it was that. Now my mom would press both of my sisters' hair. I can still smell that on Sunday mornings. Before we get ready to go to church, they ow, mama, you hurt me, ow. But that's just what it was, because we had been inverted away from ourselves. And so now I am so happy to see the sisters that are rocking that natural hair. And I think that started, it really started like back in the 60s, and it went through the 70s, because, back in the 80s, you had a number of sisters, they was having to fight to where they had braided. This is in the 80s. See, white people understand about our hair. They've conducted more research on us than any other group. And so they understand that about our hair. Like I said, our hair is the only hair that spirals up and out. It is connecting us to that universe. So we can do the things that we're capable of doing. And I just want people to understand that. And I would have to say, with the information that I have now, that putting a perm in a child's hair is dangerous, because you're exposing that child to possible, stages of dementia. It may not be happening right away, but eventually, some of that, the fumes and things, and where that stuff see, people have to understand your skin is your biggest organ. And whatever you put on your skin, it will absorb it, and it travel. I think the sister mentioned it, how it goes through the endocrine system, and it goes throughout your body, and it can cause you all kind of issues, whether it be fibroids or whatever. And so people have to be mindful of that. Is that we were given this hair for a reason, because we are special. We're the most special people on this planet, and that's why we are the most hated people on this planet, because of that. And so I know, like my mom permed her hair. You know, I'd have to. There was one product she would use, and I ended up having to, find it for her on the internet and ship it to her house and this, that, and whatever. But that's what that's just what they did, and some of them, a lot of them, they thought that their straight hair made them more appealing for whatever reason. But now that I'm so happy that a lot of the sisters are there, say, they ditched that perm. They're not doing that. Now, one of my sisters, she has gone natural. One of them, the other one, she is still perming her hair. And she has some issues. I keep trying to tell her what she needs to do, but hey, when you don't listen, okay, you're on your own. But yeah, that's that. And as far as reparations for white people, I find it interesting that this boy who said this, he's Colombian. And then when you look, see, here's the issue, people. See, when you look at how black people are treated in Colombia, see, these people, they vehemently hate us to our very essence. And some of them know what lies within us and what we're capable of doing. And that's why they stay on us, because they know that when more of us wake up, become woke. Yes, I use that term woke, and I tell anybody, had to cuss out Ron DeSantis or somebody from Ron DeSantis campaign sending me a text message saying he coming to Atlanta to speak. I cussed them out up one side and down the other, and we'll do it again. But yes, it's because these people, like Dr. Chris Wilson taught us, white supremacy is a global system. And these other people, although they're not, the guy from Colombia is not indigenous to Colombia. His people came there, but they're not indigenous. As I said, when I had to go off on these people with the 1860 census. John Luigi saying that they built this country. They're the oldest ethnic group, and they started getting real quiet when I put that stuff out there about the 1860 census. See, that's what they don't want us to do. This is why we're under such attack, and they're going to try to use any and everything. Because if you notice, the guy who said that the white soldiers should get reparations, he didn't say anything about the black soldiers. He says if they don't exist. This is about getting whatever for white people. So he didn't say that the descendants of the white soldiers, black soldiers, they should get like an extra little click because their people fought in the actual war. No, this is about trying to. That's why you got Phil McGraw and all these other people trying to come out, and they trying to talk about it because white people would do one thing: they will circle that wagon when it comes to it, because they know that once more of us begin to wake up, that's it for them. So I would just say be careful about, putting the perm in your children's hair, because it can begin to cause them, serious issues, even while they're young, especially when they get older. And if it's been constantly, because like I said, some of that stuff have been linked to dementia, fibroids and other kind of fibroids and uterine cancer and breast cancer and other things. And so people just need to understand exactly what we're doing. What they're doing to themselves, and let the chemicals go. But yeah, that's just something that I think it was forced upon us. And I understand that the ancient Kemetic people, they invented the wig. But back in the day, brothers didn't like sister wearing them wigs. Because some of those brothers, I see you down there, Volvo, you better shut up. Yeah, so brothers didn't like sister wearing wigs. Because, some of the brothers out there, they was doing their thing, and sometimes would walk up on this girl trying to hit on her. Because she had a wig, you know who she was. It's crazy. It is really crazy. But I just want people to understand that, understand that we have the best hair in the world. Our hair grows up, it grows out, and no other group on this planet hair does that. So I think we need to look at that, and I'll land with that.
All right. Real quick, Professor, I'm gonna get to you, but I want to go ahead and touch up on this other article real quick. It's a long one, so I'm gonna have to cut this one short because this is pretty long. It's from the Dallas Weekly, and this is touching up on the colorism aspect of the Black community as well too. And I want to go ahead and share this with the room real quick. It's titled, "What Can Teachers Do About Colorism?" Skin color privilege is yet again at the forefront of social media debates, but what role should educators play in ending the toxicity? If you ask a child to give an example of a time they witnessed or experienced colorism, you probably get drastically different answers. Some might speak about a fellow classmate, calling them names for being too dark, while others wouldn't be able to respond because they simply don't know what colorism is. Webster Dictionary tells us that colorism is prejudice or discrimination, especially within a racial or ethnic group, favoring people with lighter skin over those with darker skin. But what we don't need a dictionary to tell us is that it exists in our communities and negatively affects our children both in school and out. Telling your skin is too dark or you're too pretty for a dark-skinned girl is something that happens a lot in the Black community, says Los Angeles-based entrepreneur Curator Rogers. Some people try to normalize or people try to act like it doesn't exist when it simply does. Rogers, 16, knew from early age exactly what colorism is and what being bullied at school because of what it feels like. When she was just 10 years old, her peers at LA Elementary School began telling her that because of her dark skin, she looked like a burnt biscuit or a dead roach. They do the light skinned versus dark skinned girl growing up. We all pretty much experience that light skinned girl pretty much always win, Rogers tells Word in Black. Then I always thought to myself, why can't I just be beautiful? As a result, Rogers launched Flexing in My Complexion, a clothing brand focused on empowerment, anti-colorism, and anti-bullying. When I look at myself in the mirror, I say nice things like I'm smart, I'm kind, I'm confident, Rogers wrote on the Flexing in Complexion site. Plenty of research has shown that lighter-skinned Black people are perceived as more beautiful, are more likely to get a job, and are given more lenient prison sentences than darker-skinned Black people. Bias in favor of light skin shows up in the nation's schools too. One recent study found that in schools, the odds of suspension were about 3 times greater for young African-American women with darker skin tone compared to those with light skin tone. Another study found that skin tone is strongly associated with Black Americans' educational attainment, with a gap of 6 months of schooling between the lightest and darkest skinned Black Americans. As you move along the color spectrum, the darker you are, the less important, beautiful, viable, or all those things that society has imposed on us based on the notion of supremacy. Dr. Joy DeGraw, author of Post-Traumatic Slavery Syndrome, explained to Good Morning America back in 2020. Watching her sister experience the academic consequences of colorism is a vivid memory. Dr. Kamika Royal, the author of Not Paid for Us, Black Educators in Public School Reform in Philadelphia, has of life during elementary school. She was treated like she was troubled the entire time she was in school. Royal, an associate professor of urban education at Loyola University, Maryland, tells Word in Black. She struggled in school. It was easy to ignore her needs and amplify her issues because she was dark-skinned and because she was overweight. Royal says years later, people are surprised by the level of success her sister has achieved. I think a lot of people are shocked that she now has a doctorate, a PhD in education, and is an administrator at Michigan State University. Even if you're not perpetuating colorism, many educators aren't prepared to deal with it in the classroom. Almost daily, I witness high school students identify, categorize, and stereotype their peers based on skin tone. Dr. David Knight, a former teacher at Boston Arts Academy, wrote for Learning for Justice in 2015. Growing up in Louisiana, he was well aware of colorism and its roots in white supremacy, but Knight explained, I did not expect that so many young people of diverse ethnicities, including Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, would actively engage in everyday forms of skin color bias. As one teacher in the classroom, what was I to do? Knight also wrote that staying current on research related to colorism and implicit bias is an important first step for educators to take. Indeed, to step out, colorism experts say establishing a culture of inclusion and encouragement among students is crucial. Schools absolutely have the responsibility, but the schools don't have the only responsibility. Royal says adults who work in schools have to start examining their own biases and preferences. But simply being anti-colorism and anti-bullying isn't enough. Impressionable students need to have a concept that Black is beautiful explicitly taught to them. I think it's important to go to school or a system where the curriculum is focused and shaped by Blackness, says diversity and equity inclusion expert Chideo Nakwa. It's an African name, I'm sorry. the person has spent years galvanizing people for the fight for inequalities and impacting the Black community, including the HBCU equity case that brought $577 million to 4 HBCU institutions in Maryland. I think it's important to go to places where the importance of skin color is even talked about, he says. In his case, his uniqueness as a Black albino makes his perspective on colorism dramatically unique. Sometimes I wonder if my activist spirit is because I'm so in love with my Black people, or is it a hidden sign of me trying to prove how Black I am? That's why I think it's very dangerous what we do. For those unsure how to start teaching about colorism, a toolkit by Learning for Justice suggests ways educators can incorporate candid, student-centered conversations about these issues into the classroom. The toolkit features an opportunity for self-reflection that educators, parents, or caregivers could use. How do colorism and color privilege affect my students' perceptions of themselves and others? Parents and teachers might not know the names of the latest rappers and influencers, but their kids do. And talking about colorism in hip hop or pop culture can open up the door to conversations about how light skin privilege affects Black children and youth. For example, a recent interview with Houston recording artist, Manalo, who's a dark-skinned and influencer Megan James, who was light-skinned, ignited a heated discussion across social media platforms how colorism shows up when Black people interact with one another. So like I said, this is a pretty long article, but just to cut to the basis, we still see that colorism is still a big thing. Colorism is not only learned at school and seen at school, but colorism is in all of our families. I'm sure all of us have those great aunts and grandmas and great grandmas and great uncles and all of that stuff like that too, that where some of them mention actual skin complexion and stuff like that, and the good hair and who's got good hair and good eye color and all this other kind of stuff as well too. So it's something that's been in Black families for a long time, and I don't think it's as bad nearly as it was back when I was growing up in the 80s, in the 90s, but it's still around. It's not going to go anywhere completely, because not only that, but America's always found a way to go ahead and try to play the divide game with light skin versus dark skin as well too. So just to put that out there, but yeah, dark skin, light skin is still around, and it'll probably be around. And it's not only in Black culture, like we were saying earlier in the space before everybody got in here. It's in every culture throughout the world that you have something dealing with, whether it's Asians or whoever, Indians. They all have a culture of light skin being favored over dark skin. So it's just not. It's more prevalent in Black America because, you had the whole paper brown type theory and everything else like that. And you had a class of people, after slavery, you had some of the slave owners' children and stuff that were given favoritism over those who didn't have white blood in them as much. So it's something that's always existed. And, like I say, I don't think it's to the point that it used to be, but nonetheless, it's still around. So on that note, I know Professor had his hand up. So let me go ahead and get the Professor, and then we got you, Tammy, and we got No Taxation, and we got you, Volvo, too, as well. So go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, thank you again, brother. I just want to say, in reference to the white people reparations movement, it's a joke. But any white American caucasoid that sit up in any space or anywhere in this land saying that they deserve reparations, they need to be just sit down and basically talk to with straight facts and knowledge about history, because history dictates white people set up the system that we are living in. Your ancestors set up the very system that we are in right now, that we're having to fight through daily. So how any caucasoid can sit up and even make these arguments is laughable. There's no way you should be making this argument that you deserve reparations as a caucasoid in America. This country is already set up for you to make it. It's designed for you to make it. The very structural systems that's been put in place are there for you to make it. As a matter of fact, years ago, family, I had a white lady that told me, and I was a teenager, she basically said, we was having a discussion about race in America. It was a pretty good topic. She was a little bit older than me. And she said that essentially if white people don't make it in America, it's really because they just didn't do what they needed to do to make it. Because the system is already in place for them. Okay? It's already in place for them. So you shouldn't sit up and get into this movement that belongs to Black America, talking about you deserve reparations, and that you've been discriminated against. How have white America been discriminated against? Who has done the discrimination against you, white America? You can't say Black Americans have discriminated against you. That is laughable. Do we hold any kind of power in this country to discriminate against you? I don't think so. So when I hear white people say this shit, I have to laugh, but I do think we need to basically say, hey, look at your own damn history. You see in your own history, you designed the very system that is in place. Your ancestors designed it. So please miss me with this whole argument that you deserve reparations. And these damn ignorant immigrants that keep coming over here trying to put this out here really need to sit their asses down, or they need to get on a boat and go back to where they came from. It's just laughable at this point, y'all. All this pettiness that we hear from these people because they are mad that Black Americans are demanding respect. We demanding our fair share of the American pie that should have been given to us a long time ago. And this is not no damn handout, which is another thing they like to throw out there. Is a handout. You know, this is not a damn handout. Our people slaved for this. That's right. We need repair, family. So this stuff that we hearing from these people like this Marino and then when our own FBA Negroes even said this shit, this fat Negro over there in North Carolina, Mark Robinson. How in the world can a Black man that's FBA say some shit like this? How can Black men even bring themselves to say some shit like that? Hell, how can Black women bring themselves to say some shit like that? Because I think I even saw what Candace Owens said something up there in Washington, D.C. back a couple of years ago that white supremacy was not an issue in this country. See, this is the ignorant shit that our own people are putting out here, which is helping white America to also keep saying the ignorant shit that they're saying. See, we as Black Americans, and that not all of it, but some of us ignorant Black Americans are helping white America to keep this buffoonery shit going. See, this is why it's so dangerous to have coons in our community, because it allows white people that hold these type of views to continue to shoot out their mouths lies. Okay, I'm gonna land my plane there, family. Let's go in on this.
All right, thank you, Professor Tammy. I know you was up here early and you was having some issues. Do you want? Are you able to speak now?
Yes, I'm able to speak now. I want to say happy day to everybody. I've had a great day today, and Newstoter, thank you for letting me speak. I'm encouraged with a lot of stuff that I'm working on. DJ, Professor, I want to say, hey, Original, hey, family, hey, Taxation. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to skip over the reparations for white people because that don't deserve any time. But permanent girls' hair and colorism. You know, this is a real traumatic issue for me, growing up and having my hair permed, because that's what we thought it should do. Well, you had your hair permed and then you had your hair curled. They came out with the curl. Everybody remembers the curl. But you couldn't get a perm on top of a curl or vice versa. And I did it. Had to go to school with a hat on. And I remember so clearly Miss Hamilton's class when, one of the little boys who became my first boyfriend, Jermaine Waters, he said, Miss Hamilton, you know Tammy ain't supposed to have no hat on. Hats ain't allowed in the classroom. Y'all, Tammy, yeah, you white lady. You got to remove your hat. Oh, y'all. I still remember that day because my hair had been over processed. It had some straight pieces, it had some curl pieces. It's deeper than just saying perming. It's deeper than just saying, it was a hair issue. It was a deep rooted issue that affected a lot of us because we had been, taught that our hair was nappy, that our hair was, not even worth trying to comb. Those are things that really affected a lot of us. And when I didn't know what was up under all of that process. I didn't know I had curly hair. I didn't know that I didn't have to go and buy something over the counter with chemicals in it to take care of my hair. Colorism definitely is an issue in, our communities. And when I never called it colorism, I just thought lighter the cuter. Darker, you had to work a little harder. We had movies that came out that tried to educate us about it, but you really, I grew up in a family who was pro black or pro black history. I grew up where, my mother, welcomed everybody. No white people ever came to our house, but we went to church with them. But I never went to any of their houses. Colorism is a way to stir the pot and gaslight us into separation. And last night we had a robust conversation about it. And it's interesting to kind of hear, some people say it don't exist. Well, you might not call it colorism, but it definitely was a way to separate and divide. But I appreciate the topic, and I thank you for letting me share.
All right, no problem, Tammy. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Volvo. I'm going to get to you, and I got no taxation and Phoenix. So go ahead, Volvo.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the colorism thing and the hair thing one last time. I'm really, I grew up sheltered. I would say, like, a lot of stuff that I didn't even know, as smart as I think I am, a lot of stuff I didn't even know. Like, colorism wasn't a thing in my neighborhood or in my family. I'm a dark skinned dude, you know what I mean? And how can I say this without, like we a dark skinned family, but we got light skinned children, like in our family. We got light skinned. We had babies with light skinned people, and some of the babies came out light skinned, and it's still not really a thing. Like I don't know, like growing up, like I've never experienced somebody saying that I wasn't good enough because I was dark skinned, or my sister coming home saying, "Oh, the boy didn't like me because I was dark skinned." Everybody was dark skinned. I grew up in the red line neighborhood, in a historically red line neighborhood, like in the city of Cleveland. Like it was black. It was my neighborhood was 99.99% black. Like I also grew up in a pro black family. You know what I mean? Like to where we took pride in being black. So I don't know. I went to school with white kids maybe like 3 years, but we had to get bused to the whole other side of town. And my mother just got tired of that. She's like, "Y'all can just walk to school." You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you ain't learning nothing different over there. Like, so we just, we went to school in the neighborhood. We lived in the neighborhood. Everybody was black. And it's light skinned people in my family. It's dark skinned people in my family. Like, my mother's father, my mother's mother is really light skinned. My father's mother is really dark skinned. And growing up, me and my sister, we didn't know the difference between light skin and dark skin. We thought everybody was white or brown. So we would refer to my father's mother as brown grandma, and we would refer to my mother's grandmother as white grandma. you know, and they thought that was the cutest shit in the world. They would like be like, hey, which grandma? Hey, which grandma? And everybody would bust out laughing. Always thought like, what the fuck is so funny? Like, why y'all find that weird? And even to this day, like me and my sister will talk about something that happened in the past, and we talk about what grandma did, and we'll say, which grandma you talking about? And we'll say white grandma or brown grandma. So and they never said, don't call me white grandma, don't call me brown. It was never a thing. Like, I did not grow up like that. I promise you, like, I did not grow up with no type of colorism or none of that. I don't know, maybe because my whole neighborhood was black Americans. Wasn't no Jamaicans running around there, wasn't no Africans, wasn't no niggas wearing no funny clothes or making no funny dishes, or nobody mother or father had an accent. Did nobody had no white mama or white daddy? Wasn't no white women walking around the neighborhood going to the store, no white man. We were segregated. And that's why I'm a separatist. I believe in segregation. I believe that you know, segregation is a good thing. Last thing I want to touch on, I want to tell the black women. All women want attention. That's part of being a woman, and that's cool. You're going to get more attention wearing your natural hair. I'm telling you. When you come out with that fro and all that, even me as a man with my fro, you know what I mean? People, it's like they stop and stare, mouth open stare, like, follow me with their eyes. You know what I mean? I get to, you know, I love the hair, that type of shit. So if you come out with your natural hair and you looking as beautiful as you know you can look, you're going to be a showstopper. If you really want to you really the one that's exotic. If you want to be honest, exotic is something that's different that everybody can't have. That's the exotic shit. I don't know, y'all seen them videos where them women, they be in them white countries and they take their afro out and walk down the street. These people running up to them. Oh my God, you're here. So that's the real shit. That's the exotic shit. It's your natural hair. I'm gonna drop down, brother. I gotta go to sleep. I gotta work in the morning.
Okay. All right. And just to clear it up, I know you're about to drop down, Volvo, but just when you're talking about the actual colorism thing, it's not about immigrants, and it's not about people coming into the neighborhood. Because when we talk about colorism, the entire neighborhood, the entire family we talking about is black American or whatever. Colorism came like during slavery time, and it just moved on. And once slavery was over, it just stayed there. Colorism, is just about having some light-skinned people in a community and some dark-skinned people, and it doesn't have to even be a mix. The people don't even got to be mixed. It just could be somebody has a light-skinned complexion from what happened during slavery time, but both of their parents are black and stuff like that. So growing up, people used to crack and snap on each other all the time about people being dark-skinned and black and this and that, and used to go back and forth or whatever. So it's not something that's when I know Volvo was saying something about in his neighborhood everybody was black and there was no flags and this and that. Well, yeah, colorism didn't start. It wasn't about, hey, okay, well, we got black Americans here, we got Haitians here, we got Jamaicans here. No, colorism was in everybody's family. Colorism was in most communities and neighborhoods and schools and everything else like that. It wasn't something that was just it has nothing to do with immigration. I know you're putting your hands down, but you just admitted that you don't know anything about it. So I'm telling you about it. I lived in neighborhoods and stuff that was completely black. And the light-skinned kids and stuff back in the day, got a little bit of different respect, by teachers and sometimes at churches and plays and stuff like that. It was not unusual to have certain light-skinned kids, taking part in plays and stuff like that as well too. So, for somebody who doesn't know about something, putting their finger down, I find that odd or whatever. When you just told everybody, hey, I'm almost to this situation, I'm ignorant because I don't know anything about it, but people who actually lived through it can actually tell you about it. One time somebody in my family, I'm not going to say who it was talking about my cousin, and that person, when they described it, because my cousin, she was a wild girl or whatever, but that person described it, talking about her crazy black smutty ass. And my uncle was like, oh, I think he may be going a little bit too far with that right there. But and this was an older person. This was a person from the World War II generation that said that. So, that person never treated me different because I'm dark skinned or whatever. But that one cousin said that, that when you talk about black and smutty, you're talking about absolutely pitch goddamn black is what you're talking about. So, it is one of those things that did happen, just like you heard the good hair remarks and this and that, or you got bad hair, you got that kinky stuff over, you got them BBs on top of your head and this and that. Oh yeah, I mean, it's all kind of stuff. People telling you, like, during the summertime, we down here in Florida, you get in the pool, like, oh, you getting too dark, you don't need it. You make sure you stay out of that pool during the summertime like that. You don't need to be in that pool all day like that. You getting black, boy. Oh no, you've been outside playing all day. Oh, I mean, it's just one of those things. So I mean, you know.
But this is the thing, though. I don't know. Right, you're right. I don't know nothing about it. That's colorism. There's somebody mentioning that. Somebody saying, like, well, my thing is this, right? If a nigga had a big nose, it would be big nose joke.
No.
If you had some big lips,
Well, I mean, Volvo. If you taking if all the light skinned kids and stuff always they get the best parts in the plays, they're always a lead. They're always put out front. You know, when they select the prettiest girls in classroom, it's always the light skinned girls, the girls with the longer hair and this and that or whatever. You know.
Like you're right. I would have to. I can't really speak on something I don't know, because like I was never left out because I was dark skinned. I was always the handsome kid. So I never been intimidated by the light skinned dude or nothing like that. Like,
I agree with you, because I'm saying at the time, most boys and stuff, it didn't affect us the way it affected girls. Like, yeah, we would crack on each other about being black or whatever. With your black ass, who you talking about? Your mama's so black that when she drank water, coffee come out, all kind of stuff. We be dissing each other and going off and this and that or whatever. Talking about
or ashy.
Yeah.
We get ashy. That was the issue. I mean, you know,
I heard all that, sis. I heard all those jokes, but it was never. I never took it like. I don't know. I could be wrong. I just never took it as a colorism. I'm thinking that they just.
Well, I'm saying, but okay, Volvo. So let me just ask you this: whenever they have the most beautiful black women in the world or whatever, and you always see the list is always light skinned women. It's always a Beyonce's. Yeah, that is true, man. What are you talking about? It's not until recently. It's not until the last 15 years, 20 years or so that you started seeing them adding women or darker complexions on there. Growing up, Vanessa Williams and everybody else. What's up?
Anybody drop down? We got two people trying to come up.
On that note, so if anybody don't want to speak right now, drop down for a minute.
Yeah, any of our speakers right now speaking, let me go ahead, because then we still got some hands up too. So let me go ahead and get to that. But you know, it is what it is. Some people, like I said, unless you actually lived in that era or whatever, it's kind of hard to explain. I mean, now we're sitting here saying that, you know, all of these women and stuff like that. When the first Miss Black, the first person to ever win Miss America, Miss USA was Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Williams was not a dark-skinned woman. When you look at all of those older movies with Lena Horne, and you look at Dorothy Dandridge, and you look at the actresses back in those days and stuff like that, most of them were very light-skinned women or mulatto women. It's no question about that. Now, they would put a dark-skinned black man on TV with no problem. Dark-skinned black men have been on TV and been in lead roles and everything else as well, too. Really, I mean, it says you could say Sidney Poitier was really, because you went from and rest in peace today to the legend, and we're gonna be doing a space tomorrow on the legendary Harry Belafonte as well too. But you went from Harry Belafonte to Sidney Poitier to you went to Denzel, then you started getting Wesley Snipes, and you started getting dark-skinned men have always found a way to be on camera. But dark-skinned women, when you start looking at those movies, they were not on camera like that. I'm just saying that. I mean, I don't know. Like, everybody knows it's a reason you had the brown paper bag test.
What about Foxy Brown? What about
Foxy Brown is not a dark-skinned woman.
Why she ain't dark-skinned?
Because she's brown-skinned. Volvo, if you did a paper brown, yeah, but I'm saying brown skin was considered better than dark skin too. It's a reason you had the brown paper bag test. Brown you can hang around, black get back. That's what it was.
She wouldn't have passed that brown.
Yes, she would have too passed that brown paper bag test. Yes, she would have. Yeah, Foxy Brown would have passed that brown paper bag test, bro. Yes, she would have too. Foxy Brown would have passed that brown. I don't know what Foxy you talk. Foxy Brown with no dark skinned woman. So I don't know. Pam. Pam Grier was no dark skinned woman.
I'm talking about Pam Grier.
Pam Grier was no dark skinned woman.
She was way darker than
You the only person I know that say Pam Grier was dark skinned.
Colorism was a real thing.
I mean, now we sitting up here saying that colorism. I guess that's just a figment of the Negro's imagination right here. You had colorism in the black community. I don't understand how you could not have colorism when slave owners themselves put a higher priority over lighter skin and mulatto slaves. It's a reason why you had the house niggas and you had the field niggas. I mean, what are we talking about?
That's where it started from.
Hey, if we can have one, if you're not speaking, can another person drop down? We got people.
Yeah, and let me go ahead because I don't want to hog it up either. Let me.
I just want to say one thing, Newstoter. Like, first of all, good evening to the room. But I want to comment on the hair. And I want everybody to just think about
Who's speaking real quick because I don't know who's speaking. Who's speaking?
this tech.
Tech, because we got a bunch of, and I actually kind of just give me 1 second because we got a bunch of hands up, and go ahead and put your hand up, and I'm gonna get to you, but we got no taxation them. They haven't had a chance to speak yet, so let me get to them, and I promise I'll get right back to you as well, Tech. Let me go ahead, because I kind of lost order up here going back with Volvo, but I think no taxation is next. No taxation. Go ahead and unmute your mic, and Tech, I'm gonna get back to you as well.
Raise your hand if you want to speak. Raise your hand when you want to speak. How you doing, sis?
And please change the color of these hands, these caucasoid hands. Please change it.
Yeah, otherwise you out, gang. You out, gang.
Y'all are best. Y'all are whole best tonight. I done got tickled. Hey, News and Professor and DJ and everybody in the room.
Hey, what's up?
You know, when you put colorism up there, you're just going to have a conversation. White people already have their reparations, so that is that. You know, for young girls, a mother to perm young girls, children's hair, they do know that that's the skull, right? And that it soaks in. Those are chemicals. My mother never permed our hair. My sisters. The other part about it is my grandmother. My father is from Louisiana, and they had very dark people and very light people. My grandmother on my mother's side, she had 9 kids, and she had one daughter that was very, very dark, like blue-black. And she also had another daughter on the other end of the spectrum that could pass for white. And so colorism was not practiced in our family. It was actually very frowned upon. And I didn't understand colorism until I became an adult and saw it happen with people. I knew that boys liked me, but I didn't understand why. I didn't understand it was because of my color that they favored me. So let me put it that way. But it's so funny you're talking about this because I had a memory the other day of myself and my dad, and I was very young. I probably was like 9, maybe. And, I looked at my family, my sister, my brother, and I were all 3 different colors. My sister was brown, my brother had a red undertone, and I was like a pasty, putrid yellow. And I hated my skin color for years. I hated it. And I told my father, I said, I must be adopted. I said, because I don't look like anybody in the family. And my color is different from everybody's in the family. And he said to me, if you don't know what color you are, go ask the white man. He'll tell you. Well, when I was a child, I knew what that meant because we weren't allowed to go ask the white man nothing. We knew how the white man felt about us. So that was the moment I knew that I was, black for sure black. And as I got older and understood my color better, and when mostly girls, would say something to me about my color, my response was always, don't hate me because the slave owners raped my ancestors. And I'm a firm believer that that's why they put the Africans in this country, because they have wreaked havoc with our melody. And we can't give it back to them no more because, we got too many pale black people over here. So I feel like they trying to get some more color over here. I don't know what they're doing, but I know they up to something and they up to no good. Colorism is real. It's very real. It can be reversed as well. And let me give you an instance. When I was going for my master's degree, the white women that were in the program, the professors in the program, they hated me, and I couldn't understand why. But they did like all of the dark-skinned black girls that were either overweight or not well learned. They loved them, but they hated me. And I realized it was because they envied me. White women want to have this beige color skin. They want it. They want it. They want it so bad, they'll kill for it. And when I lived in England in the 80s, I remember an English girl saying to me, I'm going to have a baby by a black man. And I said, well, why do you have to have a baby by a black man? She said, so I can have a light-skinned little girl. See, that was the goal. That's the goal for white women. They can't be looking like us, and what they'll do, because, they do that tanning stuff, and they try to get, as dark as they can, get everything, to look like a light-skinned black woman, because they can't look like a dark-skinned black woman, because they can't get that dark. But that's the goal for white women. And it is if you're in a position like me, got a big mouth, blackety black, fighting white folks, go and get your masters, and all the professors in the program are white females, it can be a problem. And so that was when I first had the notion that white women don't like me because of my color. The color that I am is the color that white women want to be. And it's almost an insanity with them. And we've got to understand that we're attacked on all sides, on every front, for everything. And Toto, you were saying that Black Americans are the most unique people on the face of this earth, and we are. And we've got to understand that, because we do come in all shades. Like my mama says, black come in all shades. I wasn't, I didn't have the hair texture to be able to wear a fro like Angela Davis, even though I tried. It would still part in the middle and fall down. But I was still black, and I understood that at a very early age, because my father put me in correction at a very early age. We've got to understand that black comes in all shades, and if we fall into that colorism trap, because that's what it is, that we are helping white supremacy. And so, if you envy or want to be another shade, because I wanted to be another shade for a long period of time. I wanted to be darker than I was. But if you envy and want to be another shade, and you don't understand why you are the shade that you are, black, then you have to do the work. Lay it out on the table. Because white folks taught you that. Just like they taught us, black women, that our hair is kinky and nappy, and you can't wear kinky, nappy hair to work. See, everybody in the 80s had to perm their hair. I didn't. All I had to do was just put some water on mine and brush it back. But all the other women in the office, they had to perm their hair. And the reason why is because if they didn't perm their hair, they couldn't get a job. And so, we can excuse that era of blackness, but there's no reason these days for any black woman to feel it's necessary to perm their hair unless it's convenient for them and they don't do it often. Going on vacation or something like that, or whatever you do, and people can do whatever they want to with their hair. It's their hair. But when it comes to children, no, stop putting in chemicals on them babies' head. Man, we got enough problems in our community without having to add to it. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to get to the new hands up in here. So we're going to go to I Am. We're going to go to Tech. We're going to go to Fred. We're going to get to Wilson. We're going to get to Judge Sarah. So we're going to go ahead and get to the new hands, and we're going to get to the ones that was already up as well, too. Original and Phoenix, we'll get back to you guys as well, too. So let me go ahead and get to I Am. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, peace, power, and reparations, Newstoter. As always, thank you for holding a great space.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's see, reparations for white people. Anyway, that's just another distraction. Moving along. Perming girls' hair. I'm with the sister. I didn't really know the texture of my hair until about 7 years ago, to be perfectly honest. Was using, not perming, because perming makes curls, but we relax our hair. So using relaxers, pretty much all my life, as long as I've known. And I never needed them, to be perfectly honest. And I chose not to put it in my daughter's hair. My daughter's now 24 and 19, and they've never used a relaxer on their hair, thank God. But one thing I want my sisters to understand that, our skin absorbs 60 to 70% of everything that we put on it. And it takes 26 seconds for our skin to absorb chemicals. So, we have to be mindful. You have skin, your scalp is skin. And skin is the largest organ on our body. So we have to be mindful in what we're putting on it. And just think, oh, this is just some Kerry lotion, or this is just some Dove soap. Read the ingredients. Them shits are toxic. They're toxic as hell. And, everything that I use in my hair and on my body, from my toothpaste to my soap to the shea butter and the shampoo conditioner, is 100% all natural. Because once I found this out, I was like, there's no way I can continue to put this stuff on my body, and then I'm in my 60s and 70s and wondering why I'm having all of these problems and health issues, because I've been pouring these toxic ingredients into my skin and into my bloodstream for so long. So, I suggest you make the changes and use all natural stuff. It works 10 times better. And it's healthier, and not only that, it can be used for so many other things that you may have going on with your body. If you need some recommendations, let me know. I got you. I got a whole bunch. In regards to colorism, I never really paid it attention until I was in, not paid it attention, or I would say saw it, until I was about in the 9th grade. I was friends with this little white girl. Her name was Tabitha, a little rich white girl. Hung out with her all the time on the yachts and everything. And it's crazy because I was telling my daughter this story earlier. And Tabitha had said to me that we were standing by our locker in 9th grade. We were standing by the lockers in between classes. She said to me, if I was black, I would be your color. I said, what? And then she said it again. And I took a lighter and I had in my pocket and I set her hair on fire. So that's when I realized about colorism and the different things. Otherwise, I never paid any attention. My mother damn near looks like a white woman, except for her big nose and her big lips. Me and my two brothers, we're the same complexion. And, my sister looks just like my mother. But, I never paid it any mind until that one incident. So it lives. But one of the things that I did with my children, especially my youngest, who's very, very dark-skinned, I always said to her, because I knew how much of a part it played, especially in school, and how hateful and nasty children could be against dark-skinned children. I always told her from day one how beautiful she was. Well, chocolate beautiful, chocolate dress, just constantly commenting on her complexion and telling how beautiful she was. And, it worked. Here she is 19 years old and she's absolutely stunning. And I've never, not one time, heard her or anyone say anything to about her color and her feel any way or at all, because she already knows, she's been told this from birth, how beautiful she is. And I love me some chocolate babies. I wish they all was chocolate. But yeah, yeah, enough is enough. Black is black. We got so many shades, and we're all beautiful, no matter what shade we are. We need to, put this aside and stop passing this on, and just focus on the things that we need to focus on. And because this is crazy. We just got so much stuff going on. It's just like, oh my God, can we just settle one thing and move on and settle? It's just, oh God. But anyway, I appreciate you, brother. I'm here.
Thank you. I am, and I agree with you. You would think by now, because like I said, we've seen this stuff, and like I said, we was mentioning this movie earlier in the space before everybody started coming in. In case you guys haven't seen it, what was the movie? What was the Spike Lee movie? School Days, and School Days was based all about skin complexion. It was based about HBCU life. It was based about fraternities, and in that movie, you had the light skin against the dark skin, and that movie was a classic movie in terms of a cult classic, because you had a who's who of people up in that movie as well too. So and it just kind of highlighted some of the issues that you had. Now this movie came out in like 1987, 88 or whatever. I was a young kid at the time that it came out. So the fact that we're in 2023 and we still talking about issues, and we're having people writing articles, and we're coming in this Twitter space, lets you know that, hey, we have come a long ways. But this right now should really be, it really should have been put to bed years ago. Unfortunately, it has not been put to bed. Unfortunately, we still have these issues with it, and it's something that's going to always be there. I truly believe, but I believe it's not as bad as it would have been 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago. So I think gradually we have moved on from it, but it's still going to linger there. It's still there, and like you said, we have serious issues, but we need to go ahead and we want to talk about this tonight, and we're sharing it as well too, because you have a new generation of Black people out there that's also experiencing it right now as well too. So we want to go ahead and bring some light to it as well. Tech, I know you was up here earlier. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on, Newstoter?
What's up now?
Now, and everybody else in the room. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. So I see you got several hands up. I'm just gonna stay on the subject of hair, and I want you to look at it like this. How many animals in the animal kingdom have hair like us versus how many animals in the animal kingdom have fur like them? And I'll drop down.
All right. Thank you, Tech. That was pretty short and sweet right there. Let me go ahead and get to Fred. Fred, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, obviously, reparating for white people, that's just an insult. Now, perming girls' hair, I never really was a big fan of perming, because once you learn about the chemicals and some of the possible side effects, it's just something that was unnecessary. Now, colorism, I think we spoke about this was probably been yesterday, and I really sat here and tried to think back throughout my childhood and everything where colorism actually played a role, and I honestly could not find it. Even when I visited, my grandparents in like Missouri and Mississippi, I literally never saw it like it's being spoken of. Now, when I was coming up, there was like the standard of beauty. It really did not go by your complexion, because I remember like when my question is, when is dark skin? When is light skin? Where is the line at? Because see, when I looked at, like I said, I brought up Thelma from Good Times. Then I remember, like you said, Vanessa Williams. Then the other Vanessa Williams. Then I remember Cicely Tyson. Then I remember y'all remember a rapper named Sweet Tea? She was on people's wall. Then it went to, remember that singer Shannon? Let the music play. She was on our wall. Then Janet Jackson. So I'm trying to figure out, like, when it comes to colorism, it never really made any sense to me, because to me, by the time I started getting in like the 5th and 6th grade, I started noticing shape. At least that's what I did. So your complexion really wasn't, like I seen some girls that I would challenge anybody, whether you were gay or not, to say that she wasn't bad. And there were many of them. There were some light, some dark. There was this girl named Angie. I remember very vividly. She was always considered the prettiest girl at the school every time. And we went to school basically from elementary all the way up through high school. There was another one. Her name was Michelle Mater. She was light. She was nice. And then there was a girl who hung out with her. Her name was Monique. She was dark reflective. But what I'm saying is that fine did not have, like, if all you had to do would be light skinned to be fine, hell, Roseanne Barr would be the finest motherfucker on earth. So I'm like, I never did understand where maybe down in the South where they was black folks were beaten into slavery, and some of them still identified towns by counties and stuff like a slave. I'm like, and I'm being honest, I really didn't even see it that much down here, but I honestly did not see like colorism kick in like that. House party. I remember you had them two girls, Shireen and what's her name? The one that was married to that Martin dude. Him. Both like when, and then there were some video vixens. Everybody from I remember Buffy the Body. I challenge anybody to tell me that you was not you would not go for that. So I literally did not see. We was more likely to bust on you, like somebody said earlier, because you ashier, because you got big lips, or because your hair was wasn't kept. There was kids that were mixed. We considered them black. We never looked at anybody any different. Because once you got black, you were black. Some of them had nappier hair than what the ones you would call all black did. So I can honestly say I don't understand where that comes from, and I really can't say it ever played a role significantly in nothing that I saw, especially firsthand. I'm mute.
All right, thank you, Fred. Fred, exactly where are you from now?
I'm from the Midwest. I'm like right on the border of Iowa and Illinois.
Okay, because now we do know like the first big female black stars in this country were all, when we look at Lena Horne, we look at Dorothy Dandridge, when we look at most of them were light-skinned mulatto type women.
Correct. But now here's the thing.
Okay, but hold on real quick, Fred, because I know you started blending in the 90s and the 80s and stuff like that. Now, the paper brown bag theory and stuff like that wasn't just that light skin didn't even have to take the paper brown bag theory because they would pass it. The thing was that you had a hierarchy in terms of a skin complexion in the black neighborhood, in the black community. You had light skin, then you had brown skin, and then at the brown skin at the bottom there was a caste system, so to speak, and that was dark skin. Now I get what you're saying. Now what in terms of what really dark skinned black woman in the 70s was a sex symbol? Because everybody keeps saying Pam Grier and this person. You had Jane Kennedy. Who was a big time sex symbol in the 70s. Pam Grier was Pam Grier was a brown skinned lady. What dark skinned lady in terms of what's the lady name right now? Dark skin on the Housewives. That was Miss Black America. Kenya Moore. What dark skinned women back in the actual 70s that you have as a sex symbol? But not only that, but when you were saying Cicely Tyson, even though she got lead roles, Cicely Tyson was never considered a sex symbol. Cicely Tyson was a serious actress, and she was a great actress, but she wasn't a sex symbol. And I know in Nightfall, I know you just put Grace Jones. Grace Jones became a sex symbol in the late in the early 80s and stuff like that. But in the late 70s, probably, wasn't it? Because Grace Jones was a model too. So Grace Jones was loved more by European men as well too, because we know Europeans love the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. So if a European, if a white man is going to be with a black woman, he prefers her to be black as night. But I'm saying that the actual issues, and this is coming from black women was talking about how they was being treated. Now I know black men, like I say, black men, the way they view colorism is a whole totally different story as compared to what black women view. Black women view that in terms of the darker skinned black women, that they were considered less attractive, that they were considered less beautiful, that they were considered a second option, so to speak. by men. This is what black women said. Now, this is not what black men said. Like I said, you've always had black men that was on TV that was leading males and stuff like that. You've always had black men in the limelight, but black women, dark-skinned black women, always felt that way, not black men.
Okay, what about Angela Bassett? What do you consider?
Angela Bassett, I consider her brown skin. I don't consider Angela Bassett. I don't consider her and Whoopi Goldberg the same color. I don't consider her a dark-skinned woman. But I'm just saying, I don't consider them the same complexion as Esther Roll.
Now you named Esther Roll. What about Buffy the Body?
And Buffy the Body came in the 90s.
Well, yeah, she came.
Okay, so as she started coming, like we say, and I've even said it tonight, as time has gone on, gradually we have gotten away from that. So yeah, Buffy the Body would, she is considered Anita Baker is considered a dark-skinned woman because Anita Baker wasn't a sex symbol. The hell if she was. The Anita Baker wasn't considered like a Claire Huxtable. Anita Baker was never considered a sex symbol. Now Karen White was dark-skinned, and Karen White was considered a sex symbol. And we didn't say that there was no dark-skinned sex symbols. What I'm saying that black women themselves have said that they were put behind the bar because of that, the way they looked and stuff. Black women said this, not black men. Black women said this.
And then what about the girls from House Party? AJ Johnson.
And that movie came out, and I was in 6th grade, I believe. I think I was in 5th grade when that movie came out, and that movie came out in 1990 and 1991. So that movie didn't come out in 1951.
Well, in 1951, black folks would catch a hell regardless. But I'm talking about like in.
But 1951, Dorothy Dandridge or somebody or Lena Horne would have been on there.
But she was being exploited. You know what I'm saying? That's different.
But Lena Horne was still considered. She still was considered the face of black beauty.
And I remember. You remember the group? There were R&B groups. Jade. See, like
Jade came out in 90. I know what you're talking. They came out in the 90s. Yeah, the early 90s.
Okay. And then like I said, do you remember
En Vogue came out in 90 or so. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But there's a difference, and we're talking about, and I'm not talking about from the 90s to now. I'm talking about historically about what black women have said. Like I said, and I'm even excluding black men out this conversation because most black men don't give a damn. Really, most black men, you could be dark as an ace of spade and you can still pull something. That's just the way it is.
You're speaking from a Eurocentric, like as far as opportunity and stuff.
I'm speaking that black women said that they've been passed over in positions, that black women have had a harder time rising up the ranks, that black women have had to change the way they look, dark-skinned black women, because they don't meet the Eurocentric standard of beauty that they have been putting behind. And black women have also said that black men have put them behind the 8 ball as well too.
Well, like I said,
because let's take a line from that classic movie Jungle Fever, when you had the mixed lady on there that was married to Wesley Snipes. Say, back in the day, a light-skinned sister was what they want, but now they going for the gusto. Now they going for the white girl.
Well, see, those are just sambos. I mean, like in reality, because like I said, you remember when Shannon came out? You're probably younger than me, but remember when Shannon came out? Let the music play.
Yeah, I can vaguely remember that, but I'm saying, does that line not hold a little bit of truth in it? Because if we can look at the interracial marriage from that movie, Jungle Fever came out 91, 92. Let's look at the interracial marriage back then in 91, 92 with black men and white women, and let's look at it now. Let's look at the NBA in 91, 92, and let's look at it now. How many mixed kids did you have in 91, 92 dribbling the ball as compared to 2023?
Like I said, there is
so in a sense they were going for the gusto, because light skin was one thing. Light skin was the apex. That was as close to white as we could get. So now we don't have to worry about getting as close to white. Hell, we can get the whole shebang. We can get Becky with the good hair now.
Well, see, O.J. Simpson, he initially married a black woman before he married a white woman. So a lot of that had to do with like being drawn out, like a bunch of black men being drawn out.
Hell, a lot of Sammy Davis Jr. married a black one back in the day before he married a white one because he was told to. But when he got a chance to marry a white woman, even though at the end of his life, when his finances was shot to shit and he had cancer, he ended up getting with the black woman and she ended up, getting his finances straight and she stayed with him to the end of the day he died. But Sammy Davis Jr. was getting threats from the mob, and had it not been for Frank Sinatra coming in, stepping in, they was sending him death threats. Somebody they were going to kill him because he just had to have a white woman. So Sammy Davis Jr., they arranged the marriage with the black woman. He married her first. Once he married her, and that was pretty much just for show. Once he got through marrying her, he ended up marrying a white one. So, a lot of black men initially got in the game because, the way the rules were set, they married a black woman just, to go ahead and have a black woman as their wife. Michael Jordan initially married a black woman, a really fair-skinned black woman. But what is he married to today? Because back in the 80s and stuff, somebody like Michael Jordan, who was very careful about his public image, he knew that also marrying a white woman, I'm sure, would not have been the greatest thing for him to do at that time back in the late 80s, early 90s. So let me go ahead and walk that line and do what I got to do. But, after he got divorced from Juanita, he's married to a woman who may not be white, but she's a nun. She's a white Hispanic, a white Latino or whatever. So, there's a lot of people, initially, hey, we got to go ahead and this is the way the things is structured, whatever, and we'll go ahead and do this. But then, once we get comfortable, let us go ahead and pick who we really want.
And I think a lot of that has to do with them purposely pushing that to the forefront, like that's the norm. But most of the ones I knew, they didn't marry. They wouldn't marry out like that. Most of the ones that I knew, like for instance, when you get the Donovan McNabbs, the Reggie Lewises, the
but we can look at the NFL. We can look at the NFL back when Donovan McNabb got drafted back in the 1999 draft with Dante Culpepper. We can look at the actual the mixed children in the NFL in 1999, and we can look in 2023, and we can see there's a significant difference. Same with the NBA. Same with Hollywood. So we can't sit here and say, well, and let's go back to some of our biggest icons. Also, if we want to go back in the 60s, we can go back to Harry Belafonte, God rest his dead. We can go back to Sidney Poitier. We can go to Quincy Jones. We can go to Red Fox, even though he had some Asian wives and stuff like that. So some of our biggest stars, even back then, back when, in the South, you couldn't be married to it. Because I know you said something about the South. That's how maybe it was in the South or whatever. But you had a lot of black men of means and name and statue that actually did marry white women back in the day as well too. Let's go to the 70s doing the black exploitation movies and stuff like that as well too. How many of them had white wives and stuff? Shaft, doesn't he? Richard Roundtree, didn't he have a white wife? Marvin Van Peebles, one of the biggest directors, didn't he have a white wife? So I mean, we can go back and stuff like that as well too. Now I know most black men are married to black women, but we have a growing population of mixed kids as well too.
Well, see, like I said, I don't know if it was actually a growing population. I just think that's what the industry tries to push, because they are trying to see how, like, for instance, if you remember like that NBA draft, one thing that they highlighted, they said, look at all these NBA players with these black NBA players with white mothers. Yeah, I've seen that, but I'm saying, like, the ones that, like, a lot of the people, like, anytime black folks marry within each other and they're able to share that wealth, they never did want to push that. They always did want to leave a key to try to outsource everything we got. So I'm just saying, like, I'm looking at it from like, if I was going to look at it logically, like most of the black males that I know.
Fred, we've always had a segment of black men in this country that want to have a white wife. And we can go back to Frederick Douglass. We can go back to Jack Johnson. We've always had a segment, and that's not the majority of black men, because the majority of black men are married to black women. But we've always had a segment of black men that once they felt that they had made it to a certain level, certain status, that they had to have a certain piece of eye candy, they had to have somebody on their arm. And you've had a lot of black men, like I say, I'm definitely an avid football fan, definitely college. And I look at some of these guys that played football 20 some years ago, and I look at their sons coming up there, and you would not know it was their son unless if their name didn't have Junior behind it or whatever. They look nothing like them. They're 3-4 complexions lighter, and I don't even have to see the mother to know she's white. And then when the mother comes up, I already know she's white. They show that she's white. So there is a significant number, and you can look at the NBA. the NBA, where you don't have a face mask on, you don't have a helmet on. I see these guys in the NBA right now. I see how light these guys are running around and stuff like that. You have a whole, if the NBA was 70-80% black, what's the percentage of actually mixed kids in there, mixed ball players? It's pretty significant, and it's going to get even more significant in the next 20-30 years as well too. If we want to be real about it.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you guys watch the women's college basketball playoff, there was a girl in there. She played for South Carolina. Her name is Bria Beal. She's from my neck of the wood. Now, her father, like if you look at who her boyfriend is, her boyfriend is Joe Horn's son. So, like I said, it's to me, I think a lot of it's just what they're trying to push out.
But Fred, I'm looking at the actual game. It's not about what they're pushing out there. It's about who's dribbling that ball and who's dunking it and who's passing and who's running and who's getting a tackle. So they're not deliberately pushing them out there. These are the actual stars. Patrick Mahomes, nobody's deliberately pushing Patrick Mahomes out there. Patrick Mahomes' daddy is black and his mom is white. Nobody's deliberately pushing these guys out there. It's a whole host of players out there. That's Jason Tatum that plays for the Celtics. Nobody's deliberately pushing them out there. You know, Klay Thompson, I remember his daddy played with the Lakers.
You said Jason Tatum.
Yeah, and Jason Tatum mix?
No, his mom is black.
No, okay. His mom is black. Is his dad white? Let's find out if Jason Tatum's mix. Let's find out if he's mixed or not. We know that there's a significant mixed population in sports today. Okay, so if we made a mistake about Jason Tatum, which I want to see that or whatever, but there's still Klay Thompson. What is his mom?
Now his mom is
okay. Klay Thompson, who dad Michael Thompson used to play with the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers. That's what I'm saying. But I don't want to hog it up too much because we've been going. Let me go ahead and get to my sister Wilson. We'll come back to you, Fred. Go ahead, Wilson. I'm sorry about that.
When is it my turn, Newstoter? Hi, how are you? Oh, you want to go? Go ahead. You can go. Can I?
I think Wilson was I think you're at the Wilson, Judge.
She wanted to go. I think she has something. Just let her go.
Go ahead, Judge.
I appreciate it because I've been waiting and I have things to do and I come to spaces and I really should, but I want to share my experience. Newstoter, if you would please allow me to complete my thought before you do interrupt. When we talk about colorism, this is really troubling for me because colorism, where I see it, it's amongst Black people. I don't see it outside of our community. I came in and this young Black boy was telling you his experience as being a Black man and not experiencing that in his family. And you know what, Newstoter, I never experienced that kind of colorism either. In my family, my grandmother is brown skinned or maybe lighter than me. My family is descendants of Cherokee. My grandfather is dark, chocolate dark. So in my family, there are brothers and sisters who are dark and some who are light. Like, you know, my cousins, some are dark and some are light. What I hear in these rooms, that is not my experience. Fred was communicating that his experience also was not what is going on in this room, but what is happening, he is being told to
Hold on for a second. Nobody's telling him. All I was doing was giving examples. No, well, hold on for a second before you go ahead mixing stuff like you always do. Yeah, I'm just saying before you go, nobody told Fred. All I did was point out examples of actual historical things that could be backed up by facts. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay, so I'm just Newstoter. My experience is you were sharing your beliefs, and you were because you were the host. You were saying your beliefs. I just want to get done because what the family, I want y'all to know that this idea comes within the Black community. Same thing as the doll experiment. Those kids were not around white people. So if they had an issue with self-hate and not liking themselves, it came from Black people. And this is all due respect.
No, it did not. It came from the white system that we are under.
Let me finish. You can say your point of view.
Well, you're giving out misinformation to the people.
No, I'm sharing my point of view, Professor.
I understand, but let's get to that now.
If I was talking out of turn, you would mute me, Newstoter. Okay? Just let me, and I come here because
y'all know I can't take none of this stuff like this now.
Hold on, Professor. Hold on. Ease up. Let her go ahead and finish. And please, Judge, go ahead, because I know you're starting to get ready to start it up. So go ahead and say what you got to say.
So first of all, I want to
talk about black women in TV. And again, if you look at my photo, I'm the color of a paper bag. Okay, from what my experience, Pam Grier was dark skinned to me. Okay, you look at my photo and my profile, I'm the color of a paper bag. The black women that I know who are successful in Viola Davis, Gabrielle Union, Tika Sumter, Octavia Spencer, Ryan Destiny, Vivica Fox, Pam Grier, Mary J. Blige, Naomi Campbell, Nene Leakes, Lauryn Hill, Gloria Gaynor, Tasha Smith. I can go on. Miss No Taxation, this is no disrespect to you, and I am so sorry, but I got to be very honest. You saying that you felt like men were attracted to you because of your skin color, you talking about your hair not need to be permed. Those are the ideas that are permeated in my community. I love you, sister, but I'm taking back. If a white girl said to you, if I'm gonna be black, I want to be black like you, why would you take offense to that? And you know why she took offense to that? Because that's how her people will make her feel, how she's made to feel. Said a white woman said, if I was going to be black, I'm going to be black like you. Why did she take offense to that? What is wrong with being black like her? I want to be black like you. I love black. Okay? The point that I'm making, these ideas are not coming from white people. These ideas are coming from people who look like you and me. And, I got things to do. I have to say that. Newstoter, I heard this young black boy demonstrate what he was saying is my experience. It was no colorism in my household. I'm from New York City. Dark-skinned women was the shit in New York, okay? Light-skinned girls were not popular. The dark ones were, but they were the fly ones. That's my experience. Now, someone want to sit in a room and tell me something different. White people ain't telling you to hate yourself. Somebody else is telling you to hate yourself. I'll land this.
Oh my God. So wait a minute. Wait, hold on. First off, all the stuff we said came from black women. Okay, it's a reason that School Days was a movie that Spike Lee, at the time, the most popular black director at that time in history, came up with. Spike Lee came up with School Days about the HBCU life, about black fraternities and sororities. Spike Lee intentionally went ahead and he had the dark-skinned people on one side and the light-skinned people on one side. He intentionally had the light-skinned people living better in their lodging compared to the actual dark-skinned people, so he could make a case. If you have not seen School Days, I suggest you go ahead and see School Days. Light-skinned people, dark-skinned people, this is what Spike Lee went ahead. Black women, dark-skinned black women have been saying for years that they have been discriminated in terms of getting job promotions and in terms of climbing the ladder to success. Dark-skinned women have all, and now you sit, everybody wants to sit up here and talk about the last 20 years. They want to name Viola Davis. They want to name Gabrielle Union. Like these people, like these have been the only people on earth for the last 100 years. We want to go ahead and sit and center all the actual culture of black people in the last 20 years because these people have made it. Yeah, they've made it, and nobody's not saying that. And we're not saying that colorism is what it was back in 1800. It was a reason that you had the brown paper bag. And no, goddamn it, what's her name? Foxy Brown is not a dark-skinned woman. Whoopi Goldberg is a dark-skinned woman. Lupita is a dark-skinned woman. That's dark-skinned. So I don't care who likes it or who don't. And nobody was telling Volvo that he was wrong or this and that. All we simply said, Volvo, this man came up and said he didn't experience it. He didn't know anything about it. I gave examples of what was going on in the actual black community. So this is what I was saying. I gave actual examples. Black people giving examples, women giving examples. I read an article about a sister that's 16 years old out there in Los Angeles talking about how she gets called names, how she gets called a cockroach, how she gets called a burnt biscuit, and this and that or whatever. I didn't come up with that. This sister came up with that. I didn't write the article. I didn't publish the article. All I simply did was curate it and read it, giving this sister's examples. You had people with college degrees and everything else talking about the actual impact and effect, talking about how teachers can go ahead and go and try to shield the students and protect their students and educate their students on the actual colorism that affects black people. Colorism is not just held to black people either. I said that before also. In India, dark-skinned Indians get treated like shit compared to light-skinned Indians. In Asia, dark-skinned Asians get treated like shit compared to light-skinned Asians. This is what comes with being colonized worldwide. So to sit up here and say that, I didn't experience it in my family. Well, your family ain't all black America. My family ain't all black America. My family didn't come up with the paper brown skin bag thing. We didn't invent that. Yeah, and I'm dark skinned and my family never treat me like crap. That's not to say other people haven't got treated like crap and stuff like that before. So it's funny, like everybody can give their personal opinion, their personal example. Yet when you come with facts and stuff like that, an actual article that I read stating that actually this child here, 16 years old, entrepreneur, was saying how she went through this or that or whatever. People talk about, well, back, and even you saying that, well, in New York, dark skinned women are the shit and light skinned women ain't nothing. Well, that's messed up. A light-skinned woman shouldn't be ignored, and that go and colorism also affects light-skinned women too, because a lot of people think because you light-skinned that you're weak and you're soft, or you light-skinned that you think you all that, and you think that every man that sees you wants you and this and that. You just swear that you look so good. A lot of light-skinned people don't think like that, so it goes both ways. A lot of people think that a light-skinned man compared to a dark-skinned man is weak and sorry until a light-skinned man put it on his ass. So we can go ahead and get off of all of that as well too. You sitting up here, well, I don't know what you talking about. People thought Muhammad Ali was weak and everything else until he started. But I guess Muhammad Ali, I guess since he's not the color of Smokey Robinson, he's dark skinned too, isn't he?
My entire family's Black American. My mother.
Judge, you've already spoke. You've already said enough, love. Wilson, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
How you doing?
Good. Well, as I have said before, and I think Professor mentioned it earlier, white supremacy is a global system power dynamic. And it can show up, and it does show up, in all factions of our lives, including perception. And anywhere a country was colonized, it leaves a residue of colorism. Period. It's amazing. My experiences as a Black woman for work at one point in part of my life, traveling through Asia for work, and interestingly in Brazil 4 times. I'm in Brazil, and through Europe, particularly France and England. And I will tell you, and I've been other places, but these were significant, and why I'm mentioning it to you, because interestingly enough, having gone to Brazil 4 times, I always felt the most comfortable there, because they never identified me as an American, and when people would come to talk to me, they would talk to me as if I was Portuguese. And I say that only because when I have been to England, boy, do you know you're Black. You go to stores, they follow you. I had an experience with my mom and I where we went into this little bodega store to buy something. My mother wanted some biscuits or something like that. And we stood online. I'll never forget this. We stood online, and a white couple, the woman behind the counter did the transaction with this white couple. So when the white couple left, I realized, she was an Indian woman behind the counter. So I remember saying to her, hello, and I put my stuff down for her to ring up. And I tell you something, first experience. After she rung up my items, she took the paper bag and, deliberately flung it across the counter. And those that know me personally, like my mother, knows that it doesn't take much for me to go the fuck off, and sometimes she gets very nervous around me because I had an incident at Newark Airport years ago where I turned somebody upside down. That's another story. I looked at her.
Walk in the building, see?
That's right, baby. I looked at her, and I said, you put those fucking items in that bag. She looked at me and she realized I was American. So she looked at me, and I said, you've got some fucking nerve. I said, this white people, you put those things in. I said, you fling this goddamn thing across the counter. I said, you put those fucking things in that bag, or you give me back my goddamn money. She wouldn't even look at me. Her face stern. She looked down at the counter. She put the stuff in there. And I took my hand and I deliberately snatched the shit out of her hand. Said, you are blacker than me and my mother. And I said, where you come from, you bathe in piss. And
Essex County, no.
That's it. And so the other experiences I had was in where was it? China. I had to go for work. I said to myself, they act like they've never seen black people before in their life. I mean, the look, the stare. You go in there, they're just looking at you, and they have no decorum about themselves. They're just staring at you, and you feel so goddamn uncomfortable. You know, because you don't know. You know, it's China, it's a communist country. Like, oh my God, it's like you don't even need CCTV. These people are just looking at you. It's like, my God.
And a lot of Indian people, they stink. They don't use deodorant.
It's profound. And so, you know, all of those countries have been colonized in some way, shape, or form by white people. This is what they do. And so my father always said, as a black man, my father was a very dark-skinned black man, and he said, look, white women was never for me because black women come in all colors. If you're into light skin, black women come from the lightest white down to the blue-black. There's something, black women are beautiful because they offer you something. You know, I just, what I don't like, you know, listen, hey, you're an adult, you love who you want to love, but what I don't like are black men, and I'm speaking from a woman's point of view, and I don't like black women, but you know, if they're married to or dating a white man or a white woman, then they feel the need to have to put their fellow black people down. You know, listen, you love who you love. You want to marry somebody white. I feel sorry for you personally, but that's your business. But you don't have to shit on the black community. You do not have to shit on black men. You do not have to shit on black women. I know because I had two parents that if my father wasn't dead, they would still be married today. It was a very special relationship between those two because they loved on each other so much. My father sat at the table when things were financially down back in 1973, and he was putting my mother through school, and he had these 3 babies, and I saw with my own eye that my father did not eat for 2 weeks. He would just continue to drink tea because he sacrificed for his family. You can't tell me that black men are not good men. I come from love. So this bullshit that this white people are feeding black people about black men ain't shit. Look, I know what's in place in America for black men, and we as black women have to be a little smarter on what white supremacy is doing to us as a couple. You know, right now in 2023, as I see it, for black couples to make it, because it is vitally important that we as black couples make it in this country, because they do not want to see us make it. They want us to believe that black men and black women can't get along. That's a fucking lie. They want us to believe that there's no such thing as a black nuclear family. That's a fucking lie. What they have done is hold black men down. We've got to be smarter about this shit, and we cannot fall into that American type of, oh, you have a role, he has a role, and this, that. It's all hands on deck to make it happen for us right now as I see it. We cannot afford this. And I thank God that I had the kind of father, you know, for a black woman as a little girl, it's true. If you have a good relationship with your dad or some male figure, that really forms the heart, the spirit, you know, in your body, so that you're able to look at a black man with love in your eyes. And so this whole narrative about, oh, black men and this, that. Look, I feel sorry for those brothers who have to look to a white woman, because let me tell you something. Like Jonathan Majors is catching his hell right now. That brother Nathan Turner is catching his hell. O.J. Simpson. Let me tell you something. These brothers out here, they don't seem to realize the power of a black woman. Let me tell you, I have seen it in my own family. I have seen it with my friends and their family and everything. Things can be up, we good. Things can be down, we good. Because the sister is holding it down. We hold it down and we make it look good. We really do. We protect you. We see it before you see it. We see it before you see it. We'll let you go out there and be a man, but we know where the brain is. The brain is right here. Hey, let's let you feel like you smarter than us. Because you got egos, and that's a whole other thing. But I just refuse to accept this whole narrative about, this black man and all that other bullshit. That colorism, we got to stop that shit. Daddy used to take me to Madison Square Garden once a month when I was a little girl to see Farrakhan. My father at Madison Square Garden, as a little girl, we were on one side of Madison Square Garden, Daddy was on the other. And when I looked, I remember a little girl, I said, look and see all these sea of black women, sea of black men. And I'm looking down and I'm looking at all these beautiful black people, man. And I tell you something, them sisters, them brothers, their skin, there's something about their skin that is so beautiful. I remember as a little girl, I was always like, their skin just glistens. And then I would see Shaka Khan singing before Farrakhan would get on stage. So it's like, so let me just get off that. The hair, man, look. Yes, I wear my hair in a natural. I stopped putting perm in my hair from 2005. It was the best thing I ever did. I do believe that there is something to be said about the chemicals that goes to your system, because I couldn't have any kids. I could not have any children. I had to have a complete hysterectomy after having a struggle for 10 years. And when I say struggle, and I don't want to get too graphic, but the bleeding was real. I mean, to the point that I was so anemic that I could not even go up 3 flights. I couldn't even go up 3 steps. And that's some real shit. And let me tell you something, that when they talk about, that some of the effects is the fibroids and everything, that shit is real, because I would be sitting in the chair at work and all of a sudden it was like I had no control of my body. And when I got up, blood was all over the fucking place. And I tried to hold out, and I couldn't, man. Because the doctor said, if you don't do this, you will likely die, because your flesh inside your mouth, inside your eyes is completely white. It's like you have no blood. And I had to have 2 weeks of, what they called it, blood transfusion, because they couldn't do the surgery on me without having blood transfusion, because where your normal iron level is 14, I was at a 2. So I believe that. And once I did that and I was able to get back on my feet and my hair is completely natural, I am absolutely healthy. But there's something to be said about it. Look, when you have to have, what is the Crown Law, I think that Cory Booker tried to push through. I'm not sure if it did. I don't think it did. You have to have a law for black women to wear their natural hair, like it's a crime. I'm not even talking about white people in reparations. Everybody that said before me have said it again. And Newstoter, you said you're going to talk about Harry Belafonte tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Matter of fact, in the Jumbotron, it's a bunch of stuff that everybody started putting up in the Jumbotron, but I actually put the actual link for the Twitter space tomorrow. We're going to talk about Harry Belafonte and a couple other issues as well, too. We're going to talk about autism in the black community. We can also talk about black maternal health, and we can also mention this actual blackface preacher as well, to this man up in Oklahoma who did blackface as a preacher as well. So yeah, tomorrow we're gonna have a pretty loaded space once again.
No, I would like to talk about Harry Belafonte because my father knew him and rented a room from his dad in Harlem, and there's a lot to say about that. My father had a store in Harlem called Jackie's Men's Shop, and my father was a master tailor, and he used to make clothes for some of the Knicks and some of the players. There were special people in Harlem that he would make clothes for. My father he was very popular back then, and there was a lot of things about Harry Belafonte that means a lot to me personally that I will share and be vulnerable with you guys. And today was a sad day for me, that he passed away, but he lived a good life. And
definitely, Sister Wilson, definitely we can use you as an expert speaker to speak on him tomorrow as well, too.
I'm not an expert speaker, but I just want to speak from a point of view that will probably surprise people. But I think it's time to say it. And Harry Belafonte was a huge part of my father's life, as well as what's his name, Walt Frazier.
Well, if you know him personally like that, even though like I know you may not want to be called an expert speaker, but you you have a detailed relationship with him, or you at least know him a lot better than anybody else in the space would be. So we definitely.
It was through my father, and it was through my dad.
Yeah.
And,
So.
And it was just he really my father loved him, and it's a sad day because I feel like I lost my father again.
Yes, like I said, and peace, rest in peace to Harry, and we will definitely be covering that tomorrow as well, too, guys. So definitely make sure you come in, and definitely we're going to be talking about that and a number of topics as well, too. I feel that's important. We see the rise of autism in the Black community, so we're going to touch up on that tomorrow night, and we're going to touch up on a few issues as well, too. So make sure you guys come in. Let me go ahead and I see we got let's get to our new speakers. We're going to get to the ones I'm going to get to Reraw. I want to get to Rivera. I want to get to Stephanie as well too. So let me go ahead and get to Reraw real quick. I'm sorry if I missed the order of things, but Reraw, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter, I'm good. How's everybody doing?
What's
I've
up?
just been listening, and I'd like to say I just think that a lot of times people just think from like their own perspective, how they see things and how they view things, and it seems like nobody else's perspective, especially if it doesn't go along with theirs, is accepted. I am a dark-skinned female, and there is colorism. I dealt with it in school. I mean, all the way up in elementary to middle school to high school. I deal with it now. You know what I'm saying? I'm a pretty loyal person, so I genuinely go to the same store every day, same restaurants every day. You know what I mean? And I'll be going to a store for 5-6 years, and they still looking at me like I'm about to steal something. I ain't never stole nothing from their stores. You know what I mean? Colorism is a real thing. I dealt with it. Mostly, I would say the most hurtful part of the colorism was my family. You know what I mean? They weren't very nice about it. I come from a very my family's real cold, like all different shades, all different sizes. And so me growing up I never was like, oh, I hate my cousins because they're light skinned or anything like that or anything. But they would say stuff to me, like, oh, with your black ass, and I was just like, so, it's just the little things, and even oh, you're pretty. No, I'm not prettier than any other Black girl. Okay, that's one thing that we have to do. I'm not. What do you mean I'm pretty for a Black girl? Oh, you're dark, but you're not that dark. No, I'm dark. Okay, I am a chocolate sister. I don't play that shit. Don't try to come at me and say I'm prettier than anybody else because that's some bullshit. And it kind of separates us, to the point to where, oh, I know they said I was pretty for a Black girl. No, that's all of that stuff. It's really messed up. And we really do have to nip it in the bud. And then as far as the perms, yes, it's some real shit. I mean, out here, they got a commercial coming on every day. If you have fibroids, endometriosis, this or that, call this number. So you might be able to get some kind of compensation for that. Like, it's a real thing. You know what I mean? It's a real thing. It actually did fuck a lot of people up. A lot of little girls who had to get their hair permed and stuff like that. They went through it. As a teenager, I had they said my hormones were imbalanced, and I'm like, how? Like, what does that mean? But I had to start taking a bunch of holistic stuff and get my hormones back in check. So it is a thing. I mean, they wouldn't be saying call this number for compensation if you ever had a perm in your hair if they didn't realize it. And the fucked up part about it is they knew it was bad when they was doing it. They just the care of Black women is just terrible. I mean, they're trying in every way to make it so that we cannot reproduce. And another thing, it takes 2 Black people to have a Black child. So we are going to go into this mixed thing. 2 mixed people cannot have a Black child. And I mean, I'm sorry, it is what it is. you know, and I'm like, I get so offended when people say that these mixed kids are black, because I'm like, then what the fuck am I? If they black and they don't look nothing like me, then what am I? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, I just feel like they're kind of like pushing this narrative that anybody can be black. You know, both my parents are dark skinned. Okay, that's why I'm so chocolate, and I love them for being chocolate. You know what I mean? But it's a lot to deal with. You know, like I said, even as an adult, I still deal with it. And as far as reparations for white people, come on, we all know they already got reparations. Okay, they already got reparations, and it's just really disingenuous that these people get on the news and get in all these places and say, "Oh, well, white people deserve reparations." White people got reparations several times over. As I think they're still getting reparations at this point. Okay, because they're still striving, they're still raising the bar. You know what I mean? So reparations for white people, please. You know, but I stopped perming my hair in 2008. It was the best thing I ever did, because when I was getting the perms, I remember I used to have this kitchen in the back. I don't know, it just would never get straight. So you get your mom perms your hair, and then the kitchen starts. And now she has to not flat iron, but use the hot comb for that. And so it's just messing up your hair completely. Now that I've stopped getting perms, I don't got no kitchen no more. My hair, it's hair back there. You know what I mean? So it is a lot. And just to even tell somebody that they need to have their hair straight to be accepted is pretty messed up. You know what I mean? It's messed up. And to grow into something like that, being a child, you know, getting your hair permed before you even know what it means, before you even knew what it could do to you, and then your parents are just like, yeah, perm your hair. It's too hard to do. It's too hard. It's not too hard to do. You just don't want to take the time to do it. Okay, that's just it. Period. It's not too hard to do. And yeah, it's a lot, but I really hope that people can start trying to figure out how to look at things from other people's perspectives, because what you're going through in your life is not what I'm going through in my life. And we are all unique, and we all have our own stories to tell, but you have to be able to listen and not downplay anybody else's experience, because it wasn't like that for you. That doesn't make that other person's experience non-valid because you don't see it. You know what I mean? And I had to realize that. But we are all unique, and we are all beautiful. I was in a space the other day, and this little dark-skinned girl, she said, "Rena, you are so pretty." I said, "And so are you." You know what I mean? You are beautiful too. You can do whatever you want. You know, we have to start encouraging each other again, you know. And I was also going to say this about the natural hair. If Black men want to see women in their natural hair, then you guys have to support it. I heard you say this earlier, Volvo, that when you see a Black girl, you know, you always say, "Hey, and your hair looks nice." I do the same thing, but it's just a little deeper than that. And as far as, you know, white women and stuff like that, you have to understand, we weren't even on TV for a long time. They indoctrinated us with this. There wasn't Black people on TV. Motion, shaking their hair, Pantene, Pro-V. You know, like this is new. So we have been indoctrinated into this colorism, and everyone else who's been colonized or enslaved or whatever, like Dr. Francis Wilson said, we all have been, and we're gonna have to unlearn a lot of this learned behavior. And I'll let my plane there.
All right. Thank you, Rera. Let me give a shout out to Wilson. I forgot to thank you earlier for your contribution. Let me give a shout out also to Tata. And yeah, real quick before I pass it, people forget, like, why in the hell, it says color, there's no such thing as colorism, then why is skin bleaching cream so high? Why is that such a epidemic worldwide, not only here in America, but all over the damn globe, since there is no such thing as colorism? What are they using that bleaching cream for? To get dark spots out? Please, I mean, come on. Black people been talking about colorism since slavery ended. Since slavery ended. These little boule organizations that people be talking about was founded by a lot of people that had white pappies after slavery. And people sitting up here talking about, well, that must have been a Southern thing, because only you Southern niggas, you country niggas down there was about skin color and paper bag. And please, you had bourgeois niggas up in New York. You had bourgeois niggas that went to the Midwest. You had bourgeois niggas that went to California. Please. Sitting up here, I guess Spike Lee just made something out of his imagination. I guess this 16-year-old girl sitting up here talking about they call her cockroach and everything. I guess documentaries I saw about them Asians and people over in India sitting up there bleaching their skin and stuff like that. Sitting up there bleaching their skin, that's only something native to black people. You know what? If colorism don't exist, why you got so many African nations over there bleaching themselves? If there's no such thing as colorism. Colorism gripped the whole damn world because the standard of beauty is to be a European. Now, it may not affect you and your family, but it sure as hell affected other families. It sure as hell, when you look at some of the first lawmakers in this country, half of these people that got up there during the Reconstruction era and afterwards were people that got passed for white. You had light-skinned people that could pass for white up there. I guess that just by accident or something like that. People talk about, well, you know, for the past 20 years, you had this person as an actress and you had this person and whatever. Like I said, when Hollywood first started, why you didn't have all of them then? Since it was all equal and everything, why you didn't have all of the dark-skinned sisters then? Why you had the ones with Whoopi Goldberg and Esther Rolle complexion? Why you had Lupita complexion, all of them up there? Hell, when they started making movies and stuff to let you know that there's a such thing as colorism and racism going on, they had white folks in blackface up there playing black people. Since there is no colorism. And you're right, black people are the ones that have been perpetuating it because in their mind, they're the ones that tried to pass for white for the longest. They say, well, hey, the closer you are to this complexion, the more like, why in the hell you think you started having black men sitting up here relaxing their hair? Just like Malcolm said, just like Denzel said on there, when they did it on Malcolm X, oh, it looks almost white now, don't it? It almost looked white, don't it? Yeah, it looked almost white. It looked like a goddamn mess right there. Holy Lordy. Let me go ahead and let me go ahead and kick it to I'm gonna go to Rivera, then I got you, Stephanie. Go ahead, Rivera.
Okay. Wow, a lot to take in. Just listening. Colorism. You know, it's funny that y'all bring that up. Man, I wish I had a lighter. I was gonna smoke me a little cigarette. Cause colorism is funny because I got two sisters, both by the same. We all are different hues, same father, same mother. One is lighter than the rest of us. And I'm gonna be brief with the anecdotal shit because I know it's useless in these situations. But this doesn't have anything to do with it because my sisters are both older than me. But when they were in their 20s, they both did music and we're from Tulsa. Well, they're not from Tulsa, which doesn't matter. But they had moved from Oklahoma after they graduated high school to New York to go do music. And this is in the 90s, I'd say. And a record label had told the middle sister that, you know, they went to a convention out there. This is around the time Bad Boy and all that was in SWB, and there was that, like, the girl group thing. And I'm not going to say her name because I'm tired of doxing my family members. But she was going to OU at the time when these girls were all in Oklahoma University and SMSU. And they went to New York and hold on. The lighter skinned sister did house music. The darker skinned sister did the R&B. So long story short, he went to New York for this convention thing. And the record labels pretty much told the older sister, the light skinned sister, that they preferred her look over the darker skinned sister. And the older sister told them, I don't do this kind of R&B, I do house music. And they were trying to convince her. She ended up doing some background stuff with some other singers. But she was like, well, you're overlooking my younger sister. She's got way more talent. She can produce. I don't do any of that shit. You're saving yourself money by actually getting them as the talent because she can do the producing, she can do the writing, and she sings too. And she's, you know, we're just as talented, but she's got more skills than I do. And she also has music equipment. So she can do demos and stuff like that. and they were pressuring my older sister because of just her color. It's a true story. And I remember having tapes of both their music, and I just, at that age, I was in my teens. I was just totally understood house music because it just was techno. So I've heard the other sisters. They had a group called Southern Comfort. So, what do you say?
House music is not techno music. Techno music, if anything, is house music.
Right.
No, chicken out of egg. You feel me?
No, I know that now, but Oklahoma, I mean, come on, it's the 90s, Oklahoma. I came back here. I lived in Hempstead, and I came back here, and I was talking about Nas and stuff, and niggas was like, the science and all that. They were making fun of me because no one listened to that. No one listened to New York rap. They all listened to, like, Master P and that kind of shit. So anyways, long story short is, I made a point about this to a friend of mine about how, and I didn't grow up in this generation, I'm not wrong, but in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the introduction of Maybelline and all that other stuff was white women. In the 70s, we had a time where the bouffant was the thing. Having the big, huge afro was the thing. And then for whatever fucking reason, the 80s came around, everybody had a perm. I remember my sisters used to get the weird perms in the 80s. I remember that. The perm, not the hot comb, the perm. That was the thing to have, was to throw chemicals into your hair and fuck your shit up real good. And then not only just do that, but to bleach. So I don't know about skin bleaching. The last time I used skin bleach, but I had really bad acne. And it turned my skin like a different color. I had patches of skin that was two different colors. So I had to use it to get my shade back to the original shade. I never used it it was like a small bottle. I had to see a dermatologist because I had holes in my face. So that was the only reason why I used skin bleaching cream and whatever kind of dermatologist cream to fix the holes in my face. But I don't know why people are using cake soap and stuff like that. That to me is baffling. I don't know what's going on right now. The lady was talking and I was listening to her and I was kind of scrolling my timeline. I see this, someone made a post and it had, once again, and this is why I brought up the thing with my two sisters. There's a swimsuit ad with Nicki Minaj and the Ice Spice lady. And they make it a point that Nicki Minaj, for whatever reason, is super light skinned now. And we know that she's from Trinidad and all that. But it's like, I don't think black women have that issue. I think for us, we just have the issue with having to have our hair a certain way and also having to deal with the requirements of businesses that we work for, especially men and women who have dreadlocks and stuff like that. Because certain jobs won't let you walk in, even without the dreadlocks, with an afro. I got to get my hair braided or have it cut off, and I don't want to cut my hair. I can't walk into my job, keep my job, and also people's like, man, you quit your job and do something else. I can't afford to do that. I got kids. So it's like I got to braid my hair. I got to get the French braids. I got to pay every 2 weeks. I mean, it's ready right now because I don't have a desk job. I work out in the field, and what's really even more bizarre is that I've got to change my appearance. White boy walking around with his hair looking like a hippie. Nothing said. He just can't have a lot of piercings and has to have his tattoos covered up. But I got to change damn near my natural self. Nothing. This ain't a tattoo. This ain't something that I've changed. This is me. But I have to change it to fit Bill. So, while we're addressing that, I know the cake soap is one thing. I don't think I haven't seen that in our community. That's generally an African tether thing, and West Indies and the island motherfuckers. But as far as, in no way am I trying to make an excuse for it. I think that rules have got to change. I know New York and California have their rules where you can go on with dreadlocks and stuff. We live in the South. Certain places just won't hire you unless you look like a white lady. Hell, we all heard the joke. I don't think this has to do with in colorism, but we all heard the joke where, I talk to everybody else this way. When I go to a job interview, I'm like, yes, sir, I know that. Yeah, thank you for the job. Oh, my. Sir, yes, I know. And they put the white tag on. So it's like, why do I have to change my vernacular in order to get a job, when I gotta change my body, I gotta change my hair. None of this stuff is a tattoo where I put it on me and I made the choice to put it on me, like a tattoo, a piercing, etc. I think that it's really interesting that these social constructs, and once again, the demand for reparations, because I also make the claim think of the time, and for people who had their own businesses, you can totally just kind of like pull yourself out the way. Think of the last time that you yourself worked for someone that wasn't black or wasn't Hispanic. Think of the many years that you've had jobs, and think of the last time that you didn't have or saw a black-owned business that employed multiple black folk. Or think about a time where it was a white business and just everybody there was black. The guy who owns it is white, but everybody who works there is getting decent pay. It's not the bullshit company, the white man's basically running a slave shop, but people are getting decent pay. Think about that. That's not something that you see a lot of. You might see it in maybe the larger states. I might be wrong on this. But here in Oklahoma, you don't see a lot of that. So it's important for us to not have to keep going to legislation and asking them to change things based on, I got to change the way I look, I got to change the way I talk, I got to change who I am to fit the needs of the employer, so that you don't have this. You go work with a black person, who's going to allow you to be?
Hey, Rivera, real quick, go ahead and unwind it because we got a bunch of hands up here, and we're going to be closing this space out shortly. You got it?
Yeah, so, I guess that's it.
Okay, to all the speakers, we're going to be closing the space out soon, so we're going to get Mr. Engaging, we're going to get Stephanie, we're going to get Original, we're going to get Fred, we're going to get Rella, no taxation. We're going to keep it to 3 minutes, y'all, because we're going to be closing this space out. We've been going since 8 o'clock, so we're going to be closing it out soon. So I'm going to go ahead and give every speaker 3 minutes. If anybody goes up for 3 minutes, I'm going to mute it and let you know we need to go ahead and wrap it up. Stephanie, go ahead, because you haven't had a chance to speak, so go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, thank you for giving me the chance to speak. Salute to everybody in the chat room. We did have beautiful dark-skinned black women back in the days that were sex symbols. To name a few, you had Judy Pace, you had Gloria Hendry, you had Tamara Dobson, who's better known as Cleopatra Jones. So, they were out there. Colorism is a huge issue. It always has been. It's always been this way since the plantation. Don't let anyone tell you different. I loved dark-skinned men. I still love dark-skinned men. The love of my life was a beautiful black hue. He was so black, it was almost blue. It was beautiful. He just recently passed away. He was on the list for a liver transplant. And then suddenly they took him with the liver transplant, and we were fighting to try to get him as a recipient. And he died weeks later. And at least I know that before he passed away, he said, "I love you. You're my wife." I said, "Listen, you got to stay here. You got to stay here with me." I said, "We can get married next year." I said, "I just want you to get better." And he said, yes, and he passed away. That's medical racism. But he was just definitely a beautiful person. It's really hard to talk about it, but yeah, it plays a huge role in how our daughters develop. A lot of us hated ourselves growing up as children, like, oh my God, why do I look like this? Why my nose is big? Why my lips is big? Keep your black daughters away from white dogs. Keep your black sons away from white action figures. Just let them know that there are heroes out there, and the hero could be their father, it could be their uncle, it could be anybody. But just let them know, expose them to more black cultured stuff. That's all I have to say for right now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. And you definitely, I'm sorry, definitely hear that what happened in your life as well too, sister. So definitely just stay strong, and we can still kind of hear the pain in your voice, but definitely I'm glad that you did share that story with the room as well too. So just continue to have faith and continue to fight and hang in there. me go ahead real quick and get to Mr. Engaging. Mr. Engaging, I'll give you 3 minutes. Go ahead, you got it.
Hey, what's up, family? I see that everybody's really engaged with the colorism conversation. I definitely hop back on the stage just to comment as well. Like, I'm gonna give a couple of stories about how it affects men. You know, like on some real talk stuff. Like, I had this friend of mine, for the sake of the conversation, he was biracial, and the guy, so he was half black American on his mom's side, and on his father's side, he's black Dominican. You know, so he'll say some things like, and say that he has a bias towards dark black women, and he'll say that they were mean or that they were evil. And I always check them off on that. Like, I always G'd off on them real quick on that. I let them know, like, yo, that's like racism. That's how I kind of viewed it at the time frame, because I was in my 20s. I didn't know I wasn't as versed as I am now on that conversation, but I was really hostile against it because I just chalked it up as that, yo, this dude's racist, and this dude has some type of issue towards black people. He's anti-black. That's how I summed it up, without the whole Negro nuances and everything else at it. But that's how I kind of looked at it in my 20s at that time frame. So, like, that was my first experience with colorism. Most of my experience with colorism was mostly from other demographics, other people that was imported into the United States, and they had those type of ideologies, and they shared them or they expressed them on the job, in the church, or when I'm paying my bills, you know, the daily hustle and bustle, you know? So when people say that they don't really experience colorism, I'm calling cap. You just probably might not be aware of it. The same way some of these immigrants might not be aware of racism because it doesn't really pertain to them or really it affects them, but they don't have the personal history with it. Like colorism, yeah, we have it, but it's more racism is our thing that we're affected with, or anti-black type of situations, you know, where like on the other side of the tracks, like other people who transport from other in the diaspora, they have more dealing with colorism, and that's how they were colonized, or how they were subjugated, you know. So that's the reason why there's these nuances in our communities, and even more so when we have all these immigrants flowing through into our communities. So we definitely see that. So like some of the conversations you might be having might not be with a Black American folk, man, like face to face, you know, get where I'm coming from. So like you might end up talking to somebody from the diaspora, and they have these type of harbor views about the skins and colors of the nuances of stuff of that nature. Yeah, Black people do kind of have it, but I look at it as more like the media that kind of amplifies it. One of the examples I would use is like the Martin and Gina, and like I always like Pam, but they always like downplayed Pam. They always said that she was ugly, but she was finer than Gina. They always made her like how she had a bad attitude. The same thing with was that other chick, the other dark skinned chick from Bring It On. You know who I'm talking about? Dwayne Wade's wife. You know, but like before she was looking good back in the day, but you get where I'm going at. Like they always make the dark skinned women in our community like have some type of attitude. I peeped that early at a young age, and like when I hear brothers, like the other thing was like the rap music was a big thing. Like I was big in the '90s, so like they always was bigging up the light skinned girls. But the thing was like I had no problem with them like talking about. But the thing that got me upset was they were bigging up really. Trying to big up that Black and Brown coalition, you know, that was the reason why I wasn't feeling it. They wasn't saying that there was a like bigging up like light skin like Black women, you know what I mean? They was talking about other ethnic groups, and that was kind of the things I peeped and I didn't like either. So that's some of the colorism that I've seen on a major front that brothers might not want to discuss, but I'll put it out there, you know. I'll let it hang, you know. I let my shield out and my sword clang and bang because that's what knights do, you know. So with that being said, like those are some of my experiences personally with colorism, like in my day-to-day life. Like, and the most experience that I've seen in full blast is at a casino. If you ever go to the casino and just watch how.
Real quick, Mr. Engaging, go ahead and land it.
I got you. Yeah, if you want to see colorism at its full peak in a globalist type of perspective, go to the casinos or go to a reservation and see how it plays out, and just watch the people, watch the dynamics.
All right, appreciate that, Mr. Engagement. Let me get to Rella. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter. Hey, DJ, Professor.
Hey, what's up, Rella?
In the room.
What up?
You know me, I'm just going to lay a little honey on everything, and I'm going to just put it to you this way, and maybe this will probably be able to help people swallow what's being said in here. This is a hot topic. It's a hot topic because a lot of times, people don't want to admit, that they have a colorism issue, and they cloak it. And I said this, earlier today or last night, into their preference. And it is a supremacy practice passed down through generations of people. And I gave my story. You can go back to listen to that other space. I don't want to utilize my 3 minutes to tell my story, but I want to give my solution and how I overcame it. We have to, when we hear someone comparing two women or two men in their complexion and not literally on the character of that person, I always would say honor escapes a man who has none. White supremacy has bankrupted our community in so many ways. I refuse to allow it to keep taking. So I make it my due diligence, and I take up the arms like Mr. Engagement says, and I make sure that I reintroduce what it means to actually share love and light, and how does that sound when you recognize and affirm someone. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. No one was looking for Hattie McDaniel because she was the big, dark-skinned, fat black woman. But their titties were used, their milk was used to nurture a nation of people to turn around and lynch us into where we are today. So your fair-skinned mama, who could have looked like Hattie McDaniel, but she just had fairer skin, she went through the same trauma. Your light skin or fair skin, and most people like to use that term light skin. There's no such thing as light skin. In the beauty world, we say complexion, because your complexion is a representation of the breakdown of melanin in your pigment in your skin. And I think when we get to a point where we start to have to compare who's finer than the other, and you're only looking at surface, but you can't see when you see your people that they are beautiful, which whatever color they come in, biscotti, espresso, some of them are just a shot of espresso, some of them are so deep toned, and y'all would say blue, black, as you will. I call them purple and beautiful. You have to take it upon yourself to do that. That is introspective work that you have to do. And if you are about the collective of us, then you will find the solution to get past those things. You will recognize when you internalize a lot of the things that we perpetuate, as you said earlier, Newstoter. So everybody spoke their truth. Hell, even Judge spoke her truth, and it's hard to swallow because that's the life that she believes is true. However, there are also true stories of examples that we can pull from that shows that we have been pushed into this life. We weren't raised into this life. And we have a chance to change it. And I love the fact that if my mother would have not had that miscarriage, I swear up and down, you would have been the baby. You would have been the baby sister that she would have gave birth to this world. Everything that you said in your depiction of what it means to love on someone, to see someone, and to allow them to be in your presence and to affirm them, that's what it sounds like. That's Black love. So, that is all I have for tonight. Wow. And DJ, if you're having another space, I'll see you tonight Everyone, it's always good. It's always a pleasure to hear from you and be with you. Thank you, Newstoter.
All right. Thank you, Rella. Let me go ahead. Original, go ahead. 3 minutes. You got it.
All right. First, I want everybody that's in here, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube, the Newstoter channel on YouTube, go over there, subscribe, and click the like button. Okay. Now, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she taught us what? That white supremacy is a global system. But see, here's the issue. And a lot of people sometimes don't want to discuss it on this level, but look at religion. Like I'm looking at here, Psalms 51, verse 7. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. And you see all these things about being. You got the same thing with the Indians, with the Hinduism. And so when you look at that, and remember, I had shared with you all a friend of mine that lives in Ghana, where he was talking with this brother who is a Muslim. And the Muslim brother was trying to tell him that there is no colorism in Islam. And then when he went and talked to his son and said, "What color is Muhammad?" The son said, "White." See, it's those images that they're given, and see with the religion, they're showing you that is supposed to be the highest level of life, of existing or whatever. But when you look at those images, they're all white. And so that's where, until people begin to change that construct, because see, back in the 90s, there was a brother, he made this movie, it was called Color of the Cross, where he made Mary and Jesus white. And he went to some of these black churches, they told him they couldn't show that movie because it would do harm to their members. When I went to that Church of God in Christ, West End is Church of God in Christ. And so I think once we look at what is still perpetuating this, it is religion. And once people begin to view their religion differently, and they will begin to change things with themselves as well as their children. And I'll end with that.
All right. Thank you, Original. Let me go ahead and get to Fred, and we're going to get to no taxation, and that's going to be it for the night. Go ahead, Fred.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You got 3 minutes. Go ahead, Fred.
All right. One thing I want to clear up is this. Of course, when you talk about like when we have to deal with white society, I'm not saying they won't perpetuate some form of colorism or racism. Hell, they try to get black men in the dresses a lot of times. But I'm saying within the Black American community, we did not by nature have anything like colorism because it really wasn't that prevalent for us. Well, we were looking out, bet you any dude in here, if they gonna tell the truth, when you all used to go out to the club or you still do or go out, the first thing you notice about a female ain't gonna be her damn complexion. You all know that. So with us, we were like, when you look at a lot of these blacks in the diaspora, like Commander was talking about some dude who was part Haitian or whatever. To them, that mattered. But see, with us, when I was coming up, when I seen a mixed kid, somebody didn't want to call mixed, they were automatically black. They could go anywhere that I could go. It wasn't like, oh, no, you're too light-skinned to come. No, it wasn't none of that. Because see, all of us was going to face the same racism. And then you talk about black people, when it's mixed, not mixed anymore. You know what I mean? So like, and then you got some black people who got two black parents that's lighter than any mixed person. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it did not exist for us. Now, of course, like I said, when I was coming up, you talk like I used to look at these videos like Ready for the World. We didn't see no colorism in those videos. It was after other people came in and tried to colonize it and take it over. That's when we started seeing the BS. That's when we started seeing like the dudes in dresses, them trying to push an alternative lifestyle agenda. But us and what most people are saying in here that are agreeing with me, they're going to tell you that most of us, when you're talking about black Americans, colorism was not an issue with us. Now, I mean,
all right, appreciate that, Fred. And I'm gonna have to kind of slightly disagree with that. We know we're getting ready to end the space. Colorism started in slavery, you're right, because of white folks. And then you had black folks that went ahead and came up with the whole the brown paper bag theory. You had black folks coming up with the terms red bone and high yellow. it was black people that came up with those terms as well too. So black people played a part in that.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Yeah. When it comes to a lot of the blacks that were perpetuating that colorism stuff like bootleg, they don't count no way because we don't ride with them anyway. I mean,
Fred, it wasn't just boule. The average nigga on the street says red bone and high yellow and all of the other stuff as well too. Now the boule may have came up with it, but regular Joe Smos like you and me, because we know we got friends and stuff. We got dudes we hang out with. Oh Lord, I got to get me one of them red hoes up, boy. I can't do it. I can't deal with them. I can't deal with them black hoes. Nah, nigga, let me. I want that red meat there. I got to have me one of them red hoes, boy. That's it right there. I don't like them dark skin. I don't like them dark skin ones. If you ain't lighter or better, I can't do with you. So let's it's not all on immigrants and it's not on all of that or whatever. It started in slavery because of white folks. The boule went ahead and they came with the paper brown bag stuff. And then we as a black culture, we went ahead and we started going with that stuff as well too. Just like you got dark-skinned women sit up here and say, I want to have a baby from a light-skinned nigga. Okay, that don't have anything to do with the boule. You got plenty dark-skinned chicks I know that say that they have a child, it's gonna be from a light-skinned dude. Plenty of dark-skinned dudes say the same thing as well. Plenty of dark-skinned chicks say, I'm not going to be with another dark-skinned nigga. And plenty of dark-skinned dudes say the same thing. So we can't all put it on the boule and this and that. It started in slavery, but we went ahead and we took it and we ran with it as well, too. So I don't think it's as bad as it was 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago. But nonetheless, as the article read that the actual Dallas Weekly put out and a 16-year-old girl was talking about what she's going through today, is still prevalent. So let me go ahead and get to no taxation and we're going to close this thing out. So go ahead, no taxation.
Thank you. I want to read you something. It's very, very brief. It's about the doll experiment, which I sent to the judge so she could get clarification on how it is our little girls are being raised even today. 2 black psychologists did an experiment with the white doll, the black doll, told the black girl, the little black girls, which doll do you want, which one is the prettiest. They asked them a series of questions. For the questions that were positive, they picked the white doll. The questions that were negative, they picked the black doll. Everybody knows that that experiment was peer reviewed. That's what we call it. Means you did the experiment again and got the same outcome. And that, I think, was the 1940s was the first time that experiment happened. And I think it was 2017, maybe, that the experiment was repeated and the outcome was still the same. So here's what it says in the article, and I posted the article. It says the Clarks, who were the couple that originally did the experiment, concluded that black children, as a result of living in a racist society, had come to see themselves in negative light. Okay, that still holds true today, whether we want to agree with it, disagree, whether we want to say it doesn't happen to me or it doesn't happen to me. Little black girls, because we're talking about girls. Colorism affects women and girls more than it affects black men. Let's be clear on that. It's still happening today. And Stephanie told you why, and Original told you why, and Wellsing told you why. Because the images that they see that are good and positive are all white. You got to understand, I didn't see anybody black on television that wasn't a maid or a tap dancer, okay, until Julia Diane Carroll. She did wonders for us to have her own show and have of course, she was a single mother. They wouldn't let her have a husband, you know. But we adored her, and it was groundbreaking because we got to see a black woman who was brown skinned with a little black child who was not light skinned, darker than her, living and doing and being black everyday life, and there wasn't any complications other than everyday life. And it was wonderful. It did wonderful things for our psyche. Because up until that time, we were told black was really bad. And let's not forget the colorism is still here. What's that rap girl's name? Cardi B. She said before she got on, I mean really on, She said dark-skinned black women look like roaches. I call them roaches. That's what she said. Look what they gave Cardi B for saying that. See? So you have to understand it's a system. Colorism comes from the system of white supremacy, and it's a tool that they have been using on us forever. We have made some gains in that area, and we have more to make. But I just tell y'all, keep trying, because like my mama said, black comes in all shades. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you. And you're right. We've made a lot of gains from long time ago. If you look at the gains just from the 60s and the 50s, even the 70s and the 80s, we've made a lot of gains in terms of that colorism thing. Like I say, for those of us that's old enough to remember that have great grandmas and great aunts and stuff like that, we've heard whispers and stuff like that in the family about good hair and certain complexions and this and that or whatever too. So let's not just be totally naive. Let's not sit up here and just say, well, you know, it was another group of black people came over here and before another whole group of black people immigrated to this country, this discussion was going on in black houses and black families and black communities. It started with the dozens on the actual plantations, y'all. And for everybody sitting up here saying, well, you know, about the color this and that or whatever, data shows you that in certain cases, in a lot of cases, that darker skinned women are not getting the same pay, not getting the same advancement, not getting even the same level of education, being charged with more crimes and stuff than people, lighter skinned black people. I didn't make this up, okay? So I know we've come a long way. We have a long way to go. Thankfully, we got people that say, hey, they look past a lot of this complexion stuff. Like you say, Fred, they see a fine woman. You see a thick, dark-skinned woman. She's just a fine, dark-skinned woman. That's all you see. You see a thick, light-skinned woman. That's all you see is a thick, light-skinned woman. So thankfully, we have moved past a lot of that stuff, that plantation mentality, because that's all it was a plantation mentality. We still got entertainers and stuff, rappers and stuff that'll sit up here and say stupid stuff that they can only have babies from light-skinned women and they don't want no dark baby and this and that or whatever. You got to just kind of ignore some of that stuff these idiots be talking about. Because if you feel that way, it's nothing wrong with having a preference. White people have a preference. White men prefer blondes. Some white men prefer brunettes. Some prefer one with red hair. Some prefer green eyes or whatever. So it's no problem with if you have a preference for lighter skin, or darker skin, or brown skin. Nothing wrong with that. But don't sit up here and use your platform and then use that as a way to put one on the pedestal while trashing the other. I mean, that is really no need for that. If you like a certain type of woman, fine. If you say you like a certain type of woman, fine. But don't sit up here and down another black woman because, hey, she may not be your cup of tea. We don't really need that. We beyond all of that kind of nonsense anyways. We grown people. Let us leave the plantation mindset back where we're supposed to be at, on the actual plantation yard. We passed that kind of stuff. Let's leave it alone. I know we still got a ways to go. We're not there, but we are getting there. So like I said, this was a great space tonight. It was definitely, I knew it was going to be something. I knew in the title, and I told DJ, I'm like, yeah, with the perming and that colorism, I said that colorism is really going to take it over. And speaking for somebody who's dark skinned, whose family is like a bag of Skittles, I got every shade, every complexion in my family. You know what I'm saying? My mother was a dark skinned woman, and my dad was a brown skinned man. And he was one of the main ones that told me he didn't give a damn about complexion. Straight up. He told me that. He didn't give a damn. And some of my uncles didn't give a damn either about the complexion of a woman. So it is what it is. And if you find love within the black community, I don't give a damn what shade she is. And I know we also have we're talking about the mix and this and that. I think that's a conversation for another night there about the actual role that, you know, the biracial race is playing in the actual black neighborhood, in the black community as well too. So that would be an interesting space as well too, y'all. And that's something that we can definitely look at and do. Trans is beautiful. I can't do it tonight. I can't. I mean, last night in DJ space was something else. Like, I know you're coming up here late, but we about to get ready to close this out. But once again, this was a great space. The perming with the hair thing, I think every woman needs to look in that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be straight up. No boy, unless he's a grown man, should be getting this goddamn hair perm. That's just me personally. I'm from the old school. If you're my son, you're not gonna get your hair perm, and you're not gonna get your goddamn hair dyed either. So I'm just straight up. One of my boys said that, youngest, are like, man, if you don't get out of here, talk about you're gonna dye your goddamn hair. You're not gonna die as long as I'm around, so you can forget that. You're definitely not gonna be dying it while you're underage. I don't see why any man would want to sit up and get his hair dyed. I don't even understand that, but whatever. If you want to do that, you need to be 18. Nobody should be perming no boy's hair, period. If you under 18 years of age, if you're a grown man, you want to get your hair perm, that's one thing. But you shouldn't be taking no 12. What's that?
Or putting makeup on them. That's what a lot of these women are doing too.
You shouldn't be putting makeup on them. Yeah, nah, you shouldn't be putting nail polish. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be even more blunt with it about that. If I see a bunch of 5 and 6 year old boys walking around with earrings in their ears too, that looks crazy as hell. You shouldn't be no damn little boy with no earring. I can see if you was a teenager, but if you 6, 7, 8 years old, you shouldn't be walking around with no damn earring. Hell, I used to go to middle school with cats back in the day in 4th, 5th grade had a gold in their mouth down here in Florida. So trust me, I pretty much seen it all, like, to be real about it. So, but yeah, Professor DJ, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and get something in real quick before we close it out.
You want to go first, Dave? Oh, okay. Hey, I just want to say,
to agree. That's all. You know me. We agree to agree. But go ahead. I'll say a little something. Go.
I just want to say, family, we do have some ways to go with colorism. It is still an issue within the community, but it is something that came from slavery, just like all the other issues and traumas in our lives. This stuff has been, of course, passed down, but it all comes or stems from the white supremacy system. And that's all I have to say about it. That's what I disagree with the judge on, because the judge was trying to say it starts with us. See, that's what she was saying. That's misinformation. Please don't put out misinformation against your own people. Because black people didn't start this kind of shit in America. We didn't start this. This came from a white supremacy system. And we've been traumatized on a lot of other issues that's being passed down. So, judge, do not send out misinformation like that in the community. Please. I land right there.
You got it, DJ.
Yeah, my bad. McCall will be closing out. That's why we ain't bringing you up. But everybody get in the Jumbotron top left-hand side. Come over and support the liquor store. You know, we about to be over there for the night. It's Tuesday, so let's listen to some new music. See what's going on in the liquor store. Hashtag TLS Music. Shout out to Newstoter, Reparations2023.com, Black State of America, social, SOXCIAL.com, SOXCIAL.com, Reparations2023.com. We out.
Yeah, on that note, y'all, we will see y'all tomorrow night. Join us for the space. We're going to be talking about Harry Belafonte, autism in the black community, maternal, black maternal health as well, too. And we're going to also talk about this blackface preacher as well, too, in Oklahoma. So y'all check us out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, peace to everybody in the room. We will see you guys tomorrow night. Y'all take care.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.